Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so we're just recording now about, we're going to talk about definitions tonight. And the definitions, Liz has just brought up a good point. Does the documents matter if they're in black? Now, according to it's a fine line that we're trying to tread, because in the same way that we don't acknowledge or recognize any of their definitions, at the same time, you're speaking to the reader who has those definitions in their mind. So let's say you sent off your assignment of consent. Now, the post girl, obviously, or boy, is not going to give it any consideration as to what colour type or font or words are written upon that document, because it doesn't mean anything to them anyway. It goes up the chain to the relevant, to the party who has had this knowledge imparted in some to them. So that's why the documents are written in red. The reason why is because in their definitions, black means dead, blue means commerce, and red means live. Purple, apparently, is ecclesiastical, and only the Pope or the heads of state would use purple. So there's somebody here who's been taking this information that was given and created the purple thumbprint community. Now, yes, we use the red as far as the thumbprint goes. And you'll see, I remember going and speaking to a school in Greece a couple of years ago about a child who wanted to go to the school. And I picked up the pen, a red pen, and the headmistress just screamed across the table, full pelt, grabbed the papers. No, not in red. And I'd been speaking about this to the family who was with me, and they just looked at me absolutely agog. I said, ask her why not. Why can you not write in red? It's apocalyptic. It's forbidden. Why is it forbidden? Why is it that the teachers are allowed to mark your work in red? Or why is it that we have this somebody somewhere defining that if you've got and signed a document in blue ink, then you've consented to being in commerce? So there's two parts of this trust. Well, there's two parts of their trust. What they've divided your trust, or the thing that you give them, which is known as the word trust, to somebody else, and they've split that into two parts, one being public, one being private. It's the same thing, but by dividing you into two parts and cloning you as a replica of a straw man legal entity, legal fiction, then anything beyond that point really for me now is, does it really matter? So if you sent your document off in black, and you could define it yourself. You could say, well, I know that I would be talking about dead fiction, so that's why I've done it in black. People have got to start to write your own glossary. We talked about this, and your own definitions. So when you're for me, it doesn't really matter at all. They shouldn't be getting anything because they shouldn't exist. This paper fiction legal system should not exist. So in one way, we're talking about right now, it's got to be thumbprint in red ink. Does it really matter if we're talking to a legal fiction system? Then it boils down to, if it's a legal fiction, a corporation, dead thing speaking, why are we even bother talking to it anyway? So we're not. That's why you've got a paper. So you give the paper to the paper fiction, because it doesn't warrant anything else of any value from any of us. And it definitely doesn't warrant the value of, I think I've done it wrong. Because it's obviously you've looked at that document and gone, well, it'll do as it is, and that's great. It'll do as it is, your ID on a cornflake packet, because that's all this legal fiction hallucination deserves. So what I'm trying to say is don't get bogged down in their details. These are all their definitions again. So lots of people have been asking about a glossary on the Facebook page. Those documents that you've seen in reply to presumptions made by corporations is Uniform Commercial Code. And you can go and read those definitions all you like at Cornell University online. What you're doing is your presumption that was made over you that you didn't know these definitions. So you kept picking up the wrong one to define yourself with. Is overcome simply by Minister Emoven. You are indefinable. So I've had some being on the phone today sending me text messages trying to get me to validate what it is that I'm saying. I absolutely will not reserve all of my rights into validating anything as to what I am. All I can tell you is that the things that I've done based on this knowledge that I have been got the access to for some reason is just what reality became defined as through me doing these steps. That's all this is. I'm not by any means expecting anybody to, I'm not here to, gain favors or gain votes or, gain validity, or it doesn't matter to me if you don't believe anything that I say. It doesn't make any difference to me whatsoever, because my reality is this, no matter whether none of you believed it or one of you believed it. It's of no consequence to me, and it should not be any consequence, therefore, either to each and every single one of you guys as to who shares this belief with you. And when you refrain from being embroiled in that, it becomes quite funny, because you realize that these people, you're just arguing with yourselves. These, the messages and the questions and things, this is our doubts. First of all, we all think that we are unique, that our circumstances is completely unique. No one's had a life like me, or the worst victim state ever, or whatever label it is that we like to assign to ourselves. And debt is debt. That's it. There's one definition of it, and it's fraud. That's it. Whether you want to continue to credit that fraud or not depends on whether you can realize the level of the fraud, and that it only existed because you believed in it. So if you still don't believe that it's all fraud and that somehow you can manipulate the slavery situation to accommodate a little bit of fraud being committed by you, then I'll just use the name for this, or I'll just go there and make a contract, or go and work for a corporation and be employed by them, then you are accepting those definitions. So people have sent me messages about claiming trusts. You can help me claim my trust. The answer to that is categorically no, I cannot. I cannot help you claim your trust. Only you can help yourself establish your own trust in yourself first. And by doing that, you then immediately have some standing, because even to that little level, you might think it's something insignificant just going on a website and sending those details over. It actually, that is the deed of you assigning your consent back to yourself. So if we can't even get to the point where I can determine for myself a Proton email address, for example, or show due diligence to be able to go and actually read the material or listen to it that's already been put out there as to how you go about doing that. Cara kindly created a little video. I haven't done any of those things. I didn't create a roadmap for anybody. I didn't create videos, instructions, or anything like that. I just put the steps up there as to what I've did myself. And so for me, and you know, people asking, can you show me how to create a Proton email? Come on, guys, you know, where do I get the stamp from at the stamp factory? Where is that? Google it. You know, you've got Lancashire Police using Google as a reference point. Everybody's suddenly they've lost the ability to research, which brought you here in the first place. Suddenly my ability to do any more researching stopped, and I can't even research how to open a personal email account. So what we don't want to recreate is a nannying state, is a you know, a place where somebody else is telling somebody else what to do. So when other people have asked about what kind, can you please, I mean, this is hilarious, can you please define the indefinable trust? Well, first of all, it's not a the, because it's not an it. It's not it's not a trust. It is not an express trust or an equitable trust or a registered trust. Because quite simply, if it were, then you would be back straight away, handing yourself back into their jurisdiction. Because if you register anything at all, then you lose the right of use of it, and you lose the ability to define it. You lose the control over it. And so that's why the UCC 9609 definition works very well for everybody who can comprehend that you're a creditor. Then you're able then to be able to distinguish the fact that you have been peacefully surrendering your collateral to that legal fiction, and so that makes you an unsecured creditor, because you were not using something that you were secured to, which is legal fiction, to pile all of your credit behind. So yes, it does take a bit of unraveling, but the step that you need to take before I think you need to take the first step is that to remove all definitions. I've got people calling me and saying, have you seen about common law? What, have you seen this video? Have you seen that video? The answer to every single one of them is no. I don't watch other people's work. I haven't got the time or the inclination. I haven't, you know, different people's opinions. If their opinions were put into practice and they worked, you would be asking them questions instead. But instead, it's going and asking somebody else, how did you do it? How did you do it? What we're offering here is a packet, a structure that you adopt then. It's like the etheric blueprint, if you like, in a different vibration, that you go and then put your indefinable energy into creating what you want to see. What is your definition of you? What is it that you are capable of creating, given the platform and the access to all of the resources? Really, that is all that's happened, is that you became secured in the mind enough to know that whatever it is that you invest your energy into, then the energy is going to manifest into a different kind of matter. Can you just turn your videos off, please? I'm really sorry, but I'm losing, keep flashing up that I'm losing my internet. It's unstable. So you know, what definitions do you want? What the best thing to do, like I said, is write your own glossary, so that you're not ever going to be misinterpreted again. You know, some people here we talked about the word kindness and the vibration of the words that you use not hitting the vibrational field in some people's opinions, or it would have hit the vibrational field in a more powerful way. Now, just because I call it kindness and somebody else might call it dicky, or somebody might have another label for that, it's somebody else's definition. We're talking about, doesn't change the feeling that you've put behind the word. But yes, of course, if you can't express or convey that feeling in a way that is going to affect the matter of this creational reality in a form that is secure, let's say, in a way that it's actually hits the point, and you're defining exactly what it is that you mean. Then the only thing that we've all got to be able to do is go and learn Greek, because that's the closest thing that I've come across, where the feeling is spoken into being. But as for coming along and saying to somebody, that thing that you're doing that is, got you to where you are, where it means that I've come to ask you, how did you do it? And then stand there and say you're doing it wrong. Let's have a look at what your definition of it is, instead of standing there and not doing anything and already presuming that because of the belief that we've got that we're all unique. Yes, we are all unique, but not in the commonly organized state of slavery. We're all uniquely slaves, and it doesn't matter where our intent is in the middle of that, we're still trapped inside that slavery system. So somebody just called me to talk to me about pensions, and in answer to the question, pensions, at the moment, you believe that you've got a pension. We're looking at hyperinflation that we talked about because of the amount of slave token energy that's going into the system in circulation through furlong. There's no manufacturing really going on at the moment in order for us to be able to negate any kind of peak in the economy as far as inflation goes, because we're just simply in neutral at the moment. So you don't really need a pension to give you the money so that you can go and pay for your electricity, gas, water, council tax, and then anything like that you were using your pension for. At the moment, that's where it's going. And if you're lucky, you've got a bit left to go down to the supermarket, pay your tax, and eat GMO food, so you can still prop up the pharmaceutical industry. And the pinnacle, obviously, is the slavery system. So the pension, the structure is a third of the share of the harvest. So with your 5 hours, you put in your 5 hours, and what you create, you keep a third of it goes into your community. So imagine a massive field now full of crops that you've all put your 5 hours in to go and create, and you take a third of it because you've created it. A third of it goes into the community so that it can be used for exchange for things that we haven't produced ourselves, for example, with another community that their specialist, their let's call it their biggest export, let's say, is something that we haven't created as a community. So you all have your obviously basic structure, organic food, natural remedies, and free energy. But then what you create on top of that then is used to exchange with other communities who are producing something that you haven't done because you've been investing your energy in perfecting and producing something amazing in your own community that replaces the words commodity. Now, as far as that structure there, as we're already doing that. You've got, look at the steel industry, look at the community up north, look at the miners, look at Sheffield and those places where, depending on the resources and the access to them that we were raping out of the planet and what profit we could make out of them, we've built great cities of slaves, using their energy to create these commodities, to then buy them back as a privilege and work until you get to pensionable age so that you can still continue supporting that system with the illusion that the system that you paid into all your life is now supporting you. It's not. And if we can't get our heads out of what is a liability and what is a benefit, then we're going to carry on looking for the slave tokens, because we're not going to be able to realize our way out is It's the thing that I wanted that I had to change my energy into to swap it for slave tokens, to then go and exchange my slave tokens for the poisonous, toxic version of what it was that I needed to give myself nutrition, for example, or my family. So if we remove the slave tokens out of the way, and everybody's already putting in their 5 hours a week into another pot, like we try and explain kindness credits as a big, it's like a timeshare pot. You're putting your energy in there. Then do you ever need slave tokens again? Not if you've gone and eradicated the need of slave tokens. If you've gone into your communities as Minister Emoven and you've discharged all of your neighbourhood's liabilities through the website, do they need to ask you for slave tokens? If you turn up there with it, right, okay, well, let's tick it off the list. Well, still need some food. Okay, there's your food. Still need clothes. There you go. There's people making clothes out of hemp. Well, I still need, I don't know, a plumber, a builder, an engineer, a mechanic, a doctor, a dentist, a nurse. You've got all of those things because we're not talking about reforming a community. We're just talking about the community that is already there on each and every single one of our doorsteps and lifting them into a private organisation that has got just that little bit of understanding. Not I've got to know every single definition and read Black's Law and syntax and Chicago styles and no. I just need to go into the community and say, look what I did. And that's why I'm standing here. I mean, I couldn't have even imagined myself being able to stand here to knock on this door to even introduce myself to you a few weeks ago. But I got rid of all of those limiting liability beliefs that I was carrying, and all of that I manifest from those limiting beliefs. And now I'm free to stand here and to share sincerely, I just did this. You don't need to know step 5, 10, 15, 20, you know. You need to know that bit, how to create a Proton email address and how to send those over, those liabilities over. And obviously they get an email back telling you the steps to take then. And that's it. And you know, in exchange for that, would you like to give 5 hours of doing something that you love? No, people are like, well, they're going to think this and they might think that and they'll say this to me and this is the ego speaking, stopping you, preventing you from breaking free of that prism that it can only exist in. And so you are going to, the battle is yours. It's not, you know, we need to go and don our knight in shining armor outfits. The battle's inside us, inside our own minds, and by getting yourself in that position where you overcome all of that ego chatter, if you like, nobody, literally nobody, is needed to validate you. And if you think that there is somebody that's needed to validate you, then you're not quite there yet. If you want to call the thing that we talk about as the universal law as God, then you need to know that my definition of God is gold, oil, and drugs. And I don't have any investment in that belief. If you want to define God as the universal source energy, then, you know, that's your definition of this. And we find that we're actually all talking about the same thing. And it's the words that we use that causes the definition, because you've been taught this feeling or this thing that we're talking about has got this label. And so these people over here have got that feeling and thing buried behind another label, and so on and so forth. And so I don't want to spend my time trying to align our definitions. The bottom line is we all mean the same thing to whatever it is that created us. And
okay.
and just having that knowing removes all the other dividing definitions. You don't have to then think about, you know, this political correctness. I mean, Paula had me in stitches last night because we were laughing about some of the words that obviously we use that people would find quite shocking. You've been, lots of people programmed into this political correctness, which is sugarcoating shit. That's what we've been trained to do. So instead of everybody being sincerely whatever it is that you think, it's great. Just don't expect us to share it, and don't also expect it to need, rather, somebody to pat you on the back and say, yeah, you know, okay, I will commit fraud upon my soul and agree with you to make you better, to make you feel better, because I don't like confrontation. You know, the real truthful answer is it only matters to you. Your definition of things only matters to you because you make matter from what it is that you think, that you've perceived another's opinion of something using words that we've been given by the Babylonians. So when I do laugh when I write as a glossary, write your own bloody glossary. You tell me what this means to you. You put your, you know, we've asked people to write articles of experiences of, so that we can put them into the Gazette and share the funny stories and experiences that people empower themselves with through putting this into practice. Your life becomes fun again. Is all I can, you know, what is the definition of universal law? Isn't it to make your life fun, and so that you enjoy getting up every morning and lucid dreaming this, and practicing lucid dreaming this. Now, there's some written, and thanks for that. Some articles that I've written. First of all, every single one of you that's come on here has coughed. So I also had, as you've heard on some of the other recordings, a really terrible cough. And I was very lucky to receive somebody's very kind exchange that came to me. And I had a tiny amount of this yesterday. And the congestion that I was suffering from, and right up in my forehead, where your third eye would be, if you could see it, I suppose. Well, I'd been unable to breathe properly while I was going up hills, and we were laughing and saying if we believed in the coronavirus, it would say we were suffering from the symptoms of it. So, but we can't be, because obviously we've had the antidote. So anyway, last night I got into bed, and as I lay down, all of this stuff just disappeared out of my body. And today I walked up a mountain that I was really finding difficult to walk up with the dogs. Yes, it's 2 days ago, and it's the oxygen is in my lungs again, and all I can say is that everybody needs to get some of this. I've stopped coughing, my nose is running, I got the very intense pain in my teeth, and that's been the end of it. And I'll share the Kindness Credit account number into the chat box before we end this call, so that you can all go and see about accessing some of this amazing stuff. Talking about lucid dreaming then, so the lucid dreaming, start to practice it. I'd said that I wanted to find something that I could make a coronavirus out of so that we could go and catch it, do a little spoofy video for you all to have a laugh at. And as we walked down the road with the dogs, there's the red ball ready. And I said, look, all I need now is those little things that you use to play golf, the tees, so I could stick it in. Anyway, we went down to the beach, walking up and down the beach, and there's these tiny little orange and red round things that are off some kind of floats, I think, or some everywhere all over the beach. So we've made the coronavirus don't know about copyright infringement, because it looks quite like the original, according to that little diagram that they've given it a logo for. And you know, we were just laughing at each other when we went down there, because you put it out there what it is that you want to see, and the universe is listening to you. It's been listening all your life, but we've been saying, I want more money, I want this, I want a big car. And I just stood there with these plastic things in my hands, and I said, right then, what else do I want? And you know what, I couldn't think of anything. There's nothing else that I want. I'm racking my brains. Is there anything that I need or want? And the answer is no. And that is what this does for you. People have said to me, well, not everybody wants to live the way that you live. The capitalists that come on board, obviously, they don't last very long. But, you know, if you're here for lots and lots of slave tokens, you're in the wrong place. If you're here for freedom from that slavery tyranny, then you're in the right place. If you want to find yourself standing, you know, without hardly any possessions whatsoever, and no money, and you've got a red ball in your pocket that you just found in the street, and some little squidgy things, and your life's complete, then you know you've hit the jackpot. You won the lottery, and that feeling that comes with that complete satisfaction. I've done all kinds of jobs, and somebody was asking, Anne was asking, I could have filled a whole webinar for 4 hours about the things that I've done to get me the roles that I've played, to get me in the position where I am now. But and wherever it is that you've come from, or whatever it is that you did, has got you here, right now, for a specific reason, even though we might not think that. But just go to the point of questioning that. So people say, well, I question everything. Question that. Is it not, when you look back on your life, that everything that you ever did, every decision that you ever made, has brought you, the answer is yes for every single one of us on this call right now, right to this point right now. So is it relevant? But it's only relevant that it got me here. What's relevant now is what we do in relation to that. What do we do with that? That we don't even know the name of, that indefinable thing, that we've got the opportunity now that's been freed from that matrix to whatever degree it is. And so it's what you're going to define what comes next as. That's what the point is now. That's the restoration of rights. So we're at the restoration point, and now we need to restore the rights, first of all, to yourself in any way that you gave them away. So that's where the assignment of consent comes in. The noticing of the trespassing on your accounts. Let's just go through this. This is like step 3, 4 now. So you've sent off your assignment, and you've got the recording. That's a certificate of service in there. If you want to write these down, I hope everybody's got a book. So we'll just highlight these words. So the certificate of service. So you all know that a court bailiff requires a certificate of service to serve you, to prove that they've served you with a document. They've got somebody to accept to be nobody, to play the game of fraud with them. So this is what you're doing in each step, is you are closing the door on that portal, if you like, where that part of this matrix could come and entice you into incriminating yourself. So you're giving back the birth certificate. You give them that severs all the contracts. But then, okay, I've severed the contract. I've got a piece of paper that says I haven't got any papers. And now I want to what? Now there's the question. You're questioning yourself now. What is it that you want to do? Where is your intent? If your intent was to discharge all of your liabilities and discharge the debt, clean your credit file so you could go around to do it again, we have got a process for that. But we only do that process with people who we know that are not going to go and launder that credit file for Audi, Porsche, you know, people who are going to go and take that credit file and say, right, okay, I want to restore a hospital. I want to use my clean credit file to, if I need to generate this project much quicker, so kickstart it. But the idea is, even at that point, people have come to me and said that, and I'm like, you still haven't quite got it, have you? It's not. That's the level of the secured party mind, that you still need slave tokens to do this, and you only need the slave tokens to do this because you haven't gone to your community. No, well, I can't. I don't want to make an ass out of myself. Well, you're making an ass out of yourself because you can't go to your community now and say, I'm part of this amazing trust and we don't use money, but here I need to buy 1,000 quid's worth of copper off you. I'm looking at you like a bloody idiot. You're in a trust that doesn't use money, but you give me 1,000 quid. Well, okay, yeah, but when we only got these £1,000, this was only available because we'd stopped paying the corporations. That's the conversation to have. But really, at that point where you're giving him 1,000, you should have a kindness credit note with divided by 8 written on it for the kindness credit equivalent. So it's not just to speed up the I can have everything that I thought I wanted quicker. We have to sit back and go, okay, now I'm defining things for myself. First of all, what is it that I want? I want a little red ball and some squidgy things, please. Now, we haven't got any shops that sell little red balls and squidgy things here anyway, so I never imagined that I never even thought, oh, I could go and see this shop or that shop for finding what it is that is making what it is that I wanted to create. So, you know, it's not, don't bog yourself down with the how, is what I'm trying to say. If I've sent off my documents and they're in a different colour, so what? If it matters, it'll come back and say, you know, what is it that they can say? Well, you wrote to us in a document that was black, so it must mean that you're dead. Exposing themselves if they do that by you sending it. It's as if to say, well, I haven't got a colour printer, so yeah, knackers to you. Take it as it is, and think yourselves lucky that I've spent £4 on recording it. And I've only, that's £4 of my, that's your insurance. That have I got insurance? Yeah, I've got, it cost me £4. And so, you know, it's the biggest trick that they pulled, or we are allowed to have pulled on us, is by buying into other people's definitions. And that's why people are still buying, you know, we buy and debtless and all of that products, because they don't want to do it themselves, really. It's assigning the responsibility away, and this is what we're giving here. This is why we ended up in such a, coming such blows to, these are the organisations. We've got many amazing organisations all around us. I'm not arguing with that. The intent's there, but the comprehension of, I've got an amazing idea and I'm going to go and patent it. Well, what are you doing? You've just gone and said, this is my amazing idea, and I'm giving my creational intellectual property to another register, another role, so it needs to be over there, because I want to capitalise on it, really, is what you're saying. Well, capitalism's finished. Somebody called me up yesterday and said the police had stolen 43 houses off him. What do you need 43 houses for? Well, I'm a landlord. What does that mean? Well, that's why I was making my money. Well, what you were actually saying to me, lunatic, is that you capitalised on people's right to shelter. And you made it, you created a system of hierarchy that in the end meant that you can't even afford your own home. Never mind the people who were, you know, priced out of the market. And so, this coronavirus is really the mirror back at us. We talk about holding the mirror up to them. We're holding the mirror up to ourselves now. And we're just, and so things like laying the lead, I need to make a claim against this this agency, that government body, or want to prosecute them, or you're still looking for, you're in resistance to yourself because you don't realize that it's yourself that's doing it all and that's done it all. You still think that you can make a claim and you still can be bought off or compensated with slave tokens. Every wrong that was ever been done with the presumed right of use of our planet, every single legal fiction, agency, title, commodity, trading account, the whole thing is secured. That's why there's no business being done up at the face of it. And that's why the only pot that's going around is the coronavirus laundry service. Because you are the secured party creditors to it have removed their credit to such a degree that there's nothing for them to gamble upon anymore. So when we use the word unquantifiable commodity, and somebody's having laughing today, why would you want everybody to be unquantifiable commodities? God can't see you if it's not quantifiable. We're not talking, God can't see you if you agree to be a commodity, quantifiable or unquantifiable. But if we're talking commodity, then wouldn't you rather be an unquantifiable commodity than a quantifiable one? Wouldn't you rather be a secured party creditor than an unsecured party crediting something that you didn't even know was there? Wouldn't you rather be the licensor? The fact that HM government has issued licenses to all of these agencies, it doesn't matter which one it is that's trying to lay a claim against you, they're all the same. They're all empty legal fictions that only exist when you pick up that belief that you are an employee of it. You don't work for it, or you do. You don't support it, or you do. And, in there is gold, oil, and drugs. So please don't ask me to define your definition as what you think God is. That's down to you. And if you need me to validate whatever it is that you believe, then you can't believe in it that much yourself anyway if you need somebody else to come along and pat you on the back and say, yeah, thumbs up, I think that too, so it must be true. That's how we got in this mess. Instead, stand there and it doesn't matter if you don't believe me. I took this belief and I did this with it. And you can see for yourself whether it's something that you'd like to share as a belief. And I don't mean share my perspective of this belief, or recreate my life in your life. Take that platform and, like I said, blueprint, and bash your own life into it, or out of it, or through it. So, and you can only do that with your own definitions. That's why when you read the book Minister Your Mind, I mean, people who first started reading it, they're like, it's grammatically incorrect. Well, according to whose definitions? I type like I speak. There's not a lot of pauses, as usual, works out, I'm sure. And when you look at English being a load of Babylonian bollocks anyway, do we really want to start to criticise, or suddenly our ego pops up and it's like, oh, well, if they didn't put a comma there, then it means that they're illiterate. And if they're illiterate, they can't know what don't know what they're talking about. Well, okay. If maybe it's written like that. Maybe somebody wrote it like that so that all of those people who are common artists, and what do you call them? The grammar police, didn't come to any further than that. Maybe the reason why the website is written the way it is to see if any of you have got any due diligence before, I want to meet at the minds with you. Maybe you don't know, do you? So stop what I'm trying to get you to do is stop automatically assuming that this and this means this, because it doesn't. We've been told that this and this, we don't even know what this is. So how can we start to put it together and say, well, I know what that is, and if I put that with this, then that's what's going to get me. We thought that if we did all of these things, like work and put slave tokens in a pot somewhere, that we'd have a pension when we needed it. You know, even the police know that that's a complete illusion. What's waiting for us after we put all of that in, all of our energy into that pot, is that, you know, pharmaceutical death, while they steal the assets that you worked your ass off for, and because you accepted capitalism as the definition of your reality. That's all. And so when we stop accepting that and saying, right, okay, well, we can see what that got us because we kept doing it. But we can't see what this is going to get us because we haven't even started it off yet. We haven't even got to that position where we have even initiated any change in our lives at all. So the last thing that obviously you want to be doing, because you will screw yourselves over with it, is if you take all of that you haven't put into the paying of the liabilities, and you've stopped doing that, and your life doesn't change. It just means that you can go and fund the corporations 10,000 times quicker because you're not paying the liabilities to them. You're just creating those liabilities for yourself somewhere else. And so it's that we're trying to get you to be in that position, so that you can say, right, okay, well, I know the bit that I know is if I do that and that and that, what I think that and that and that is, go and work in the slavery system, collect slave tokens, pay tax, it gets me this. So, and if I know that much, then is it not logic that all I needed to do was convert my energy into another token? If I turn my energy and I convert it into slave tokens, at that point, the slavery system initiates. If I take all that I am and define it as a legal fiction, I've credited the legal fiction system. If I just don't do those two things, that's the only question that I ask myself. If I do not do those two things, what happens? And it turns out that nothing that could happen because I did those things can happen, because it requires those two things. That's what the consent is. It's not, it's a contract with your sentient being. So when people write, I do not consent, there's a silent K in there, in brackets, in their legalese definitions. And then you've got not, and then con, and then comma, bracket, sentient being. Sorry, tracks. So it's I do, comma, brackets, K, open brackets, not, then con, sent. And in between the con and the sent is tracked. And at the end of sent is being. I do not a contract with my sentient being. So this is why I say don't get bogged down in the definition. Just I cannot define me in there, because otherwise I'm going to be floating along in the sea with my indebted mindset, and I'm going to be fishing myself out and throwing myself onto a deck and knotting a contract with a vessel that I don't want to be associated with under mercantile law, screaming for my common law rights while I'm standing on the ship and waving the flag saying, here's my live life claim. And I've put a couple of commas in there as semicolons, and I'm wondering why the hell I'm doing 6 months in prison. Well, because you proved that you're an incapacitated legal minor. And so you can spend years and years negotiating the high seas, if you like. Or you can just say, whatever that is, I'm not having anything to do with it. I've got this over here, Minister Emoven. What is it? Can't tell you. I cannot. If I tell you, it's not what it is. If I tell you what Minister Emoven is, I'll be lying, because even my words that I would try to define it as is diminishing to what it actually is. And that's you that you're talking about. Why should you have to diminish yourself as anything? And at the same token, why should we imagine that there is a part of us waiting for us to define ourselves wrongly so that we can incriminate ourselves against ourselves? The level of psychosis that actually is well, it's universal psychosis. And so please, for your own sanity, put all of those definitions with the hypothesis and the presumptions away. And I can tell who has and who hasn't, just simply by listening to your voices. So let's have some questions. Everybody, has anybody got any questions? No. That's good then. So we'll all see you down on the project tomorrow. Oh, I've got some coming into the box now. How do I get that box up?
I also have some questions.
Okay. Well, should we just do these in this box? The box. I'm just looking at the chat box. So we've got. Not today. Dreaming. Did you see the email I sent about the FOI request? The telephone number is on the website. You can see that on there. But, you know, it's not for sending me 25 messages because you want validation on your definitions, okay? Come on the Zoom rooms. I do them 3 times a week. It's more than enough, I think, of my energy that I am investing. Because I like to actually do things too. Otherwise, I'm back in the vortex with my own creation. So I haven't seen any emails at all today. There was 14,000 of them yesterday, so we got through what we could with those, with a lot of help from people who kind of stepped up to the plate. And so, Lizzie, do you want to give us the questions that you've got, love?
Yeah, thanks. So, I'd sent out the first utilities one. Do I just change the number myself, edit that document, and then send it out to the others? Or do I need to submit that? Yeah. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Or you can just do one document for each. I wrote this on your email, I think. If you put some people don't want to give their national insurance numbers over, and I get that. It's absolutely no problem. Take the document that you've got back with, let's say you've sent the electricity number over, and edit it. It's a doc for you. That's a template. It's supposed to be there for everybody, so you can see it how to fill one in yourself. And if you do put your national insurance number on one document, you can send that one document to all, because it's all attached to your national insurance with that legal fiction.
Oh, didn't know that. Wow, okay. All right, super. Well, I'm doing it in stages. I just figured I'll do the utilities first.
Yeah. And then you get your ledger book. Have you got your ledger book?
I've ordered it, so I'm waiting for it to arrive.
Right.
But I've got the red stamp and stuff.
Right. Well, you're very.
The other question I had is, I had 3 different sets of numbers. So in the email exchanges I had with you, there was the top of the email, there was one number, the bottom of the email was a different number. And then in the response back, there was a third number. And I still am not clear about what those numbers, if there's a mistake, if it's meant to be just one of those numbers.
I've actually replied. I've replied to you twice with this, and also to Karen, because she's asked me as well. So the number that is associated, what had happened is that you'd done 3 applications, I think, on the website.
Oh dear.
Yeah, with you had another email address. What's happening? This is why we've said to everybody, for God's sake, whoever that is, get a Proton email address and then contact us, because what people are doing is they're contacting us saying, "Hi, I'd like to know more, please," or and you've got a Yahoo address, or you've got a me address or whatever. Does it say Proton mail address? No. So now I've got to reply back to you to say, "Hello, can you create a Proton email address, please?" And put everything that you just put on there on a Proton email address. Then what happens is we get people sending hello from the Proton email address, and and so
that's what I did. Yeah. I sent about 3 from the Proton email address and at different dates.
That's why I was laughing about these 14,000. They're not 14,000 new people. They are people pressing the thing that are desperate to get in, which is great. So it was a bit of a fewy moment at our end, I can tell you, to realise that there's a lot of people that are pressing the button, and it is coming through, but for some reason it's not saying sent on the website. So the best way to make sure that your information has got over to us to initiate a kindness credit account number is simply put it onto a Proton email address that you've created and press send to kindnesscredits@protonmail.com, and that's it. Don't please send PDFs of your bills. Take the time to write the company in the body of the email and the account number and the amount, because it's easy for you as well then to start to create your own ledger book. And you don't have to have a ledger book, the title ledger book. You can just get a basic book, draw some lines in it.
Yeah.
I haven't even got any lines in it in this one.
But you don't need to know the account number of every, I mean, isn't that laborious for you? If I send you my account numbers and things.
I don't need, and it's a good point that you need to know those account numbers, because hopefully with everybody's enthusiasm and what you are saying is that you know next week you're going to be on the phone to them if they try to create joinder with the legal fiction, and they're going to call the number that's attached to that account. The account's been passed to Minister Emoven, and you're Minister Emoven. You know, don't be sending those documents off saying it's addressed to Dear Emoven. You're Emoven. You're talking to yourself, you know, from your trust. Your trust's accepted you as Minister Emoven, and in doing so, he's reminding you, don't use that legal fiction. That's the assignment. But it also says to the people who you're sending that to that the consent that was required to have been assigned via the legal fiction to the Attorney General and then down to all agents of Crown Corporation thereof is obsolete now. It's been assigned elsewhere, so they can't initiate. And that is actually the dissolving of your trust. It's not about, it's a dissolving of the trust that I had in the Crown Corporation. That's what you're doing. It's not a pot of gold that you've suddenly liquidated. You are the pot of gold. You're the gold, you're the silver, you're the iron ore, you're the aluminium reserves, you're the water, you're the energy of this planet and this universe. That's what you've been putting behind that legal fiction. And that, so does it, when people talk about claiming my trust back, you're saying, I don't trust I do not trust that corporation with my share of this. That's it.
I got that. So on excuse me, you sent me the exemplification number and I stuck that on my website. do I use that same number to do things like log into the Universal Law website and stuff? I think I haven't had the welcome pack.
You haven't
Maybe
had
I'm
the welcome
confused.
pack. Yeah, that exemplification roll number is for your, it goes on your warranty card, it's on your coronavirus. What it does, it reserves the rights that you would normally be giving the legal fiction in the brand ledger roll, and then obviously the conversation that you may have heard with the police is initiated, because it's all things commercial have been quietened as being able to be presumed to be able to trespass on your rights. That's what this is. So it's like a barrier.
Alrighty, so we've got that. So I'll just use that number from now on then, and forget about the others.
Yeah, what we need to do with you with the company name is you send an assignment of consent of the company registration number to company's house. So in one of those boxes, you know, on one, like you just said about editing these documents, put your company number, your company reference number on there, and send them that up as well, and keep a receipt of that so that you've notified them.
Okay. Super. Thanks. I'll do that. Great. I think that's it in terms of any questions I had. Yeah. Pretty much.
Cool. Thanks. Thank you. Has anybody else got any questions before we move on to explaining gamma?
Yeah. Hello. Yes. There's a question here. My sister and I both have powers of attorney for parents and our brother who's lost his marbles, and we're just wondering if there's any way that we could or should operate those powers of attorney in order not to violate our trust.
Right, you need. Do you remember what I told you about when they came to give me the power of attorney with my dad, and they'd said as soon as I said, right, while you're doing that, you can sign this evidence of life form for him, and she's signed it, and she said, what are you going to do with that? And I said, I'm going to rebut the presumption that he's dead and stop the world trespassing on his rights. And she jumped up and went running back into my dad's room screaming, I don't trust your daughter, I don't trust your... But that's like that. She's the only one out of them that I do trust. And he's saying, why are you saying this now? We've just signed the documents to say, you were saying how amazing she was. And she's like, no. I said, you need to get out of here right now. I said, how dare you? And put him in this stressful state. But he was, we used the evidence of life form. And that's what you need to do. You need to evidence, you as the Minister Emoven now, create live-born records for both of your parents and your brother. And it's, as far as the power of attorney goes, you need to be using that power of attorney with all your rights reserved in doing it as Minister Emoven, then to assign everything that is let's say in those legal fictions into your family trust.
Okay.
Now that protects them from anything like inheritance tax and all that kind of thing, because they just simply it's another legal fiction. It's a circle on a piece of paper with a family trust XYZ written on it, and the TR1 document, so the land, for example, that's supposedly held in the title deed. The title deed reference is transferred. The transferor is the legal fiction to the family trust, and that's what the land registry get. But they also get the quiet title, securing your role as a family trust to secured party creditor of HM government. So that conveyance, that movement of equity away from the legal fiction system has got a value to it in the legal fiction. So because what we're doing is we're discharging the debt that we created, then you are the executive, you're the official receivers. So it's like you're saying, right, here's HM government, here's a bankrupted state, like a bankrupted company. We're the secured party creditors to it over here, and we are the executors of it over here as well, and we are executing the settlement of the secured party creditors to that business, which is you. So what is your compensation, people of the Rock of Light? How can you settle this debt? Well, I can take the collateral that I've got the right of use of, and I can assign it away from the legal fiction, and in doing so create the equity in their definition back into our definition now divided by 8 kindness credits. And you have a receipt then to say, let's say that that equity was worth to you 250,000. That 250,000 slave tokens worth of kindness credits now is discharged off the HM government's debt. So each one of these corporations has got an account number with kindness credits, and they're all in debt. Doesn't matter whether we're talking about Virgin Media, MBNA, Lloyds Bank, Barclays, UKAR, TLT Solicitors, Marston's, you know, every single, and what is it? It's every single company that is recorded inside the company's house that has been trespassing upon your rights. That's what you've secured yourselves against. Your rights being trespassed on. Because you now have got the awareness how debt is created and how equity is used as collateral to discharge that debt. So you're accepting, the trust is accepting that had we not created our own trust and left it in the hands of the legal fiction, then we would have been creating 250,000 times 10,000 in debt for the system to call credit. So we're taking that and we're saying, look, we're assigning that potential debt that we would have been creating had we given willed it to my son. He would have incurred that amount of debt and created that amount of debt in credit in their system if I had sold it at a later date or if I had rented it out. And so you put value on that, and you know, you've got 10 quadrillion to play with. It's, you know, it's quite a lot of equity. Looks like a planet.
Well, what about health and welfare?
Hang on, thank you ever so much.
Yeah,
I shall listen to this over and again when it's been recorded, and I'll come back to you with a few more questions if that's all right.
Okay, anybody who's in that position, all you need to do is you take the longitude and latitude of the particular property that you've got the right of use of that you're talking about, or that a particular piece of property that you have established was once claimed by HM government or agents thereof or repossessed by one of these banks. And you go and put a notice of a restoration of rights to the creditors on it, and you create a quiet title of the longitude and latitude of it, and you write that in your community's ledger book.
Okay.
Something for the community.
Right.
And then that ledger book roll number creates the reference that replaces the title deed reference. And the quiet title says there's something that happened here in relation to this matter. It used to be known as this, now known as this, but I can't tell you what because I'm quiet title.
Yep.
If I told you what it was, I'd be making a claim. So, and I can't do that, can I?
Exactly.
Oh.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, well, that's great. As I say, I'll listen and digest it all and then come back with questions, because there's obviously always more complications than that. But I do appreciate what you said, and I understood more this time. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah,
Okay. Anybody else got any questions apart from what is gamma? Right. When we talked about lucid dreaming at the beginning, and your theta state. There's also zeta. We haven't been taught much about zeta. And obviously we know about alpha state, beta state, theta state, and delta state. these are also the words, the letters in the alphabet in Greek. A is alpha, B is beta. They don't have C. They have G, gamma, they have G. And when you read the Greek alphabet backwards, like we were talking about in the other Zoom meetings, you move from delta state into gamma state towards a beta alpha state. And gamma was introduced to me by somebody, and it's really terrible, I'm sorry I forget your name, but it'll come to me in a minute. In 2013, 14, and it completely changed my life. And I didn't think that it had worked at the time that I was doing it. And I also went and did some more while I was in South Africa with somebody else. And this is where we paid this guy, and a few of us had gone. And the first guy that we did it with is called Chris Walton. His name's come back to me. And that was in Bournemouth. And then my life took on this other turning where it kind of compressed everything, all of the capitalist in you, everything in you kind of reached its crystallization. I went to South Africa, and I'd done this other gamma and didn't think it worked. And went into work the next day and turned the screens on, and suddenly this knowing was, how can a number choose? A number can't choose. And that's when I put in my number, and there were 77,000 companies. At that point, I'm screaming, well, that's slaves, and had a bit of a breakdown. Came back to England then, and lived in a tiny little house. We didn't spend any money, didn't go anywhere, and it was like going, it was what I was doing. I was doing this, what I'm doing now, but in the opposite. I was doing it in loss. I was doing it like, oh my God, taking that knowledge and allowing it to affect me negatively. And I thought, I either allow myself to go down this slippery slope back into drinking and that negative behavior pattern that comes with, okay, you know, your subconscious and your superconscious knows that what you're doing is not in alignment with your soul. So we have this conflict, cognitive dissonance inside us. So we talk about, I don't like confrontation, but I'm constantly at war with myself, with my heart and my mind. So when you actually do this gamma, you create the biophotons in your heart are sending out more signal and a stronger signal than the biophotons of your brain, and you have more neurological pathways in your heart than your brain does. And there's been many test studies of people who are very closely connected to one another, love each other, being in two separate parts. They've put one of them in Scotland and one down south, and they done these techniques, and they plunged one arm into freezing cold water, and the other person was wired up to sensory devices to test, and it was as if the body that was having the effects applied to it physically, the body further away, miles away, was experiencing the same, was responding as if they had had the same events applied to it. So plunging this arm in freezing cold water, and it was as if the body had already had that done. Now, and there was another guy, I can't remember his name either, who talked about hypnotherapy, and the people, we're all hypnotized from the moment that we really open our eyes. It's, you know, this is blue, this is red, listen with your, you know, paint a rainbow and all of that, and listen with your eyes, and that's all right. And as a child, I used to change those words, and that's why this is really, listen with your eyes, turn those labels that you've got for the things that you're capable of doing and get rid of them. So gamma, what does that? First of all, your brainwaves move into gamma. So they put an EEG reader on our heads, so this last one that we went to, and while you're just in, sitting there talking, whatever, you're in beta, what they would call high theta, if you're dropping off and you're really bored. And so you would, look at the regulation of your brain waves on the EEG, and then you do the gamma process. I've already tried to do my video on tonight with a previous call, and it's not letting me do it. So I'm going to go to somebody else who's got broadband, and we're going to do it there. But it's tapping. So what you do is you have to cause cognitive dissonance in each one of your cells. So let's say you've got 1 trillion cells. They're all vibrating to a particular frequency. They have got a membrane. Now, if you think about the word membrane, it's the memory of the cell. What is it that you came to be? And so the cell has this like etheric layer projecting onto it what it is. That in order for it to be a heart cell, you need to vibrate to this. If you want to be a lung cell, you vibrate to this. Now, around those membranes, they hold beliefs. So, like we just said, the belief I'm a heart cell, getting this belief from somewhere. And so if we carry limiting beliefs, which Chris Walton actually used a very good analogy. He taught, actually he didn't, it was Van Lendl had been doing gamma, and Van Lendl ended up training that Tim guy who couldn't win Wimbledon, and they used gamma in the end, and he won Wimbledon, and Tim Henman. And apparently it was his limiting belief had been his dad saying to him, "You're never going to win Wimbledon playing like that. You'll never win Wimbledon playing like that," thinking he was encouraging him to win Wimbledon, sort out your playing. So it didn't matter how good he got. It was Wimbledon and I'm never going to win it. And all of his cells stacked up. Now, this is what we're talking about, creating from the point of belief. So the placebo, look at all around us now. This is us telling ourselves, you're under your own spell, you're under your own placebo. Do you take the red pill or the blue pill? Do you know the difference? Do you realize that there is no pills? Do you realize that the idea of the fact that there's a matrix somewhere and it's got us all trapped in it, or is all part of this placebo that we've bought into? So it's like laundry service on your own mind. So you start off with kinesiology, and you tap. I mean, if we want to do it and try it now, you take your hands to your temples and tap gently at first, 10 to 20 times, and just get used to these what we call them, these connection points, really. So up on the sides of our temples, and also straight down the center of your crown and towards your forehead 10 times, at the back of your neck, in the base where your reptilian brain is, give that a right good bashing in there. You do that 10 times, and then move across under your eyes, onto your cheekbones 10 times, around your eyes, above your eyebrows 10 times, into your jaw where you hold resentment and anger very well 10 times, coming across towards your chin, above the top of your lip 10 times. You don't really need to just think you're counting 10 times, so keeping your mind occupied with that helps. And then down your rib cage, cross your arms over, down your rib cage and back, and then across on your clavicle, and just tap that 10 times. And what you're doing there is you're actually causing dissonance in your cells. And if you do it with your eyes shut, you get, it can be quite trippy. I've used, and I absolutely, everything that I say, it's, I don't have any boundaries, as you can probably guess. And I've done my fair share of looking for trips, let's say. And doing gamma made me realize that this life was the best trip ever. And I don't need anything after that, because I found this part of this existence that means something. And it came through this next part, which is where you cross your ankles over and then put your hands together so that your palms are facing outwards, stretch your arms in front of you. Put your palms facing outwards so that your knuckles are touching. And then lift your left hand over your right hand so that the palms are facing each other and your left arm's crossed over your right one. Link your fingers together and then turn your fists up into the space between your chest now, and you should have your arms crossed twice, really. Once on the arms, once on the wrists. Your fingers are now interlocked and your ankles are crossed. That closes a bridge between your left and your right hand side of your brain. Your right hand side controls your left hand side of your body and vice versa. And now what's happening is there is like a bridge in operation. And what happens when your left hand side and your right hand side start to communicate is that they activate this frontal lobe part of your brain. And now you're going to use the heartfelt feeling thought, the thought that makes your heart burst out of your chest when you think it. And you just shut your eyes now with your ankles crossed and allow that heartfelt feeling thought to just fill your mind and allow it to build. Let that picture come into complete, let's say 3D, vision, definition. You can hear the sounds of the memory or that you're playing back in your mind, and let that energy just completely consume you. Don't think about anything except that thought, and allow that sensation of all of that wonderful heartfelt feeling thought build and build and build until you feel like you're going to burst with it. And then at that point, at your pinnacle point, you put in your affirmation. Learning universal law is easy for me, for example. Life is easy for me. I can do anything. I can create communities. I can discharge my liabilities very easily. Whatever it is that you find as a repetitive thought, some people might have been told you're not worthy, or you'll never amount to anything, or it's too good to be true. Everybody uses that. And nothing is too good to be true. And so at this point here, you put in the affirmations that you have tapped out when you were doing the kinesiology. So by putting all of these things together now, who's got a limiting belief, such as I can't, or it's too hard, or call me stupid, or come on, because I could just go through your Facebook and find all of these limiting beliefs just through the replies that you've put up in some of the posts. So who's got one that thinks that everybody might have a variation on, perhaps? Anybody? What about I'm shy? Has anybody got that one?
You know what? Just going through the webinars that you've done already, loving the stories of how you've just faced it. And so I think that was the biggest, in terms of a limiting thought, the facing of, if they, like, one of the things that drew me to knowing, gosh, you're really speaking truth here, is that you do it with such patience, such softness, and such humor. It's just like, even if 20 policemen walked in your house right now, you'd probably be having a laugh with them. And so I'd be like, I think there's this bit of me that's like, I'd be really freaked out if I was in that position. So yeah, that would be, you know, my whatever you want to call it, reservation, limiting belief. You know, it's a fear, isn't it? It's a fear-based thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So shall we tap out fear then?
Yeah.
But in what way? I mean, I was told that, you know, you're a woman and you'll never amount to anything, and so part of my life I spent going, well, I'm never going to amount to anything because I'm a woman anyway, so I won't even bother try. And then, you know, I came through that and realised that I was living to the expectation that I'd actually projected that somebody meant on me. So by doing this, getting rid of those limiting beliefs, we were doing it for children, and children are much more forthcoming. You know, when you say, what is it that you'd like to get rid of, that you tell yourself a lot, and they're quite forthcoming with it. But because we've practiced hiding it so long, I haven't got anything to it, you know. And even our ego doesn't want us to admit the truth about ourselves. And only when we do start to admit the truth about ourselves, it means that it doesn't matter what anybody else says about you, because you've called yourself all the things anyway. And it's very liberating. So I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. I am nervous, but exciting. What else have we got? Feeling trapped. What about now? What about something practical? Fear of failure. We've got I'm shy. Okay, so let's do failure and shy, shall we? All right, is it both the same? Is it because we're fear of failure that we're shy? We shy away from responsibility or taking any action because we're scared of failing. For me, it's very difficult for me to do that one because I haven't got that. I haven't got that one. What about scared of yourself? Would you say you were scared of yourselves? Because that fear of failure is like saying, I've set myself a benchmark and I don't think that I'm ever going to reach it. It's like what I'm looking for is a you know, the recording that goes around in your head. So you've got a great idea and you think, right, that's amazing, it's a great idea from the universe, and I'm going to do this. And then what is the statement that you repeat to yourself?
Oh, that would take a lot of work.
Pardon?
The one thought that comes up, that would take a lot of work. That would be a lot of hard work. Yeah.
Right. So I can't do it. I can't is a great one because it covers a multitude of sins. So you can use I can't ... whatever it is that you've been telling yourself. I can't find the time to learn universal law. I can't understand it. I can't ... So what we'll do now is, if everybody does the tapping again and says, I can, I can't, I can, I can't, I can, I can't, I can, I can't, I can, can't, and then up through the top of your crown, I can, I can't, I can, I can't, can, I can't, I can, I can't, back of the head, I can, I can't, I can, I can't, I can, I can't, I can, I can't. Then under your cheekbones, I can, I can't, I can, I can't. Over your eyebrows, I can, I can't, I can, I can, I can't. Into your jaw, I can, I can't, I can, I can't, I can, I can't. I can't. Over your top of your lip, I can, I can't, I can, I can't, I can, I can't. And then down the sides of your rib cages with your arms crossed. I can't, 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 and then onto your clavicle. I can't. And just as you're getting ready to do your last one, to get your ankles in the cross position, I can't. Put your hands again, palm to palm with your wrists crossed. Bring them up into your chest and think that wonderful, heartfelt feeling thought. And say out loud when it builds up into you, so you're smiling because it's such a beautiful thing. I can do anything. And I don't know, you might see colours or speckles or waves or that. Just ignore all that and feel what it is that's creating those images behind your eyelids. Feel that heartfelt feeling thought and say again, I can do anything. And now breathe that thought in now, speak it out, I can do anything, and breathe those words back in that you just spoke into the ether. And let them resonate with every single part of your being. Let that picture build and build and build, as that energy builds and builds and builds. I can do anything. And then scan your mind, scan your body and your mind's eye. Imagine all those vibrating tiny little pixels of energy and cells and whatever else there is that we don't know about. And just look if there's anywhere in your vibrational field that is resistant to that belief that you can do anything. And if you could find a little pocket somewhere that's going, that's not true, then breathe it in again. Breathe through your feet now. I mean, I know this sounds like yogi tactics, but this is the only way I've got to describe the steps that I do with this. And just take your awareness down to the soles of your feet and just breathe. As you breathe in, just pull that energy up through every single energy point that you are. Build that picture and feel that enormous field of energy around you, through you, and speak that belief that I can do anything into it. And again, just keep doing that until you scan your body and there's no resistance to that. And you can use that with any situation that you might come across. Give me the answers, or I have all the answers. You just need to bring them in to your field. And imagine yourself like a magnet. Whatever it is that you're actually vibrating to, that etheric blueprint, if you like, is only ever going to collect and create matter into it in the shape of whatever that blueprint is vibrating to. So by you just completely not accepting anything that causes you to feel less than in your gamma state, run it by you. Somebody comes and presents something to you, such as, I believe that you should identify yourself as a Vatican debt slave, for example. Then, it doesn't take a lot. Your exterior existential selves already know, hang on a minute, I've got some resistance to that projection that you're trying to get me to perform. Use it in every matter. And the answers will come to you that make complete sense. And they're not complicated, and it's pure logic. That, does it feel right? Not here, sitting here, thinking, is it right? Is it right? If I have to think, is it right? Then it's not. And so when I hear something that is so right, my limiting belief pops up and says, nope, but it's too good to be true, because we've been taught that everything is good is untrue, and everything that is negative, let's say bad, is true. And so when somebody calls me, like they did today, and say, is this a money-making Ponzi scheme, which is what the Universal Law Trust has been saying about us, which says a lot about unification, then, you know, let's talk about money. If you want to talk about money, we don't use it. So that in itself makes you unalienable. Nobody can say that you have ever been able to commit fraud on somebody or steal their money, because they just simply don't use it. It's we haven't got any value to it, and we convert the energy that's trapped behind that slave token into something that can't be used for slavery. And that's what this is all about, really. Now we've got somebody here, I don't know who you are, writing in the chat boxes when I open my blinkers then. I don't know if I've got enough left in the tank. Okay, you're universal source energy, and that's infinite energy. And you have got to the point where you have literally depleted every obstacle. You've hurdled it, you've gone through every passageway in this rabbit hole, and you are now out of the other side. But when you really are out of the other side, you realize that there was no rabbit hole. There was just you creating investing in a vortex of exhausting yourself, looking for answers, looking for answers that you had to your questions about fiction. I don't, you know, the whole point that I do this for is to get our minds out of being invested in fiction. Take the truth and bring the fiction to it and hold it up, it's fiction. So we all know a lot about fiction. Do we still want to continue debating whether my perception of this fiction is the same as yours? In some ways it always will be, and in some ways it won't be. That's really just enough for fiction. If we just say fiction is definable as fiction, that's it. And there's many ways to try to define fiction, but the psychosis comes when we start to try to defend that fiction as being real. And that is the biggest trick that they've pulled on us. So having enough in the tank, you've got more than enough for whatever it is that you need to do, because all you need to do is create a Proton email address. Now, I'm sure you've all got Gmail addresses, Yahoo, whatever, Cloud, iCloud, whatever. So if that is all you need to do, then do it, because the whole process, the whole point of this is to prove that you've been emptying your tank and you have been having to pay to refill it. This way, so it was never going to get refilled, was it? Because it was always going to be running on empty, because it always required some of your energy in order for you to replenish yourself. What we're talking about here is putting 1% of our energy into something. So take all that it is that you've been through before to get you to this point, go, right, I'm taking 1% of that energy. Which bit? Make a Proton email address and press send. And what you get back from doing that is all the energy that you were putting into juggling those balls of those accounts, of those debts, of staving off the inevitable that you thought was going to come, whether it was because your pension wasn't going to reach the cost of living by the time it superannuated, or whether it was because you couldn't pay your electricity bill, you were going to be without light. It doesn't matter what degree it is that you have invested your energy in, because it's priceless, you know. And just by you taking 1% of that priceless energy and popping it into a pot, if you like, a community pot, and saying, right, I'm going to see what that does. It's uncontaminated, indefinable energy. I've got no idea what it is that's going to happen with that energy, but I'm just going to put it in there, and I'm going to see what it is that I can do and I can achieve. Now, immediately, because you put 1% of your energy there, the other 99% that you were investing, because it was just 1% of your energy that did all of this. But instead, we put 99% of our, no, I've got to do more, I've got to do more, I've got to do more. And so it's like, tell you what it's like building your own cross and nailing yourself to it, and then chastising yourself for doing it. There is no cross. You don't need to be a martyr in this matter. With the role, what role is it I'm playing? Am I playing the victor? Am I playing the orchestrator or the creator, or am I playing the role of the victim? Look what somebody did to me. No, you did it to yourselves. If you turn around and take that victim state and say, nobody can do this to me, I've done it to myself, then suddenly you are no longer the victim, are you? You're the perpetrator. So you've gone up a scale in that vibrational frequency of the hierarchy system of where victim sits, and in accordance to where perpetrator fits in this mind-boggling psychotic state of belief that we pick up and use. So I've been perpetrating on myself. Now it's funny, isn't it? I've been blaming the government and these bastards, and look what they did to me, and actually I did it to myself. Woof! Suddenly, if I've been doing it to myself, then I can stop doing it, can't I? It's like them saying, whoever it is that's saying, they're doing these things to me. No, you're doing it to yourself. You're using legal fiction, and you are castigating yourself then for doing it. It's like having buyer's remorse. I went to exercise my right to shelter and signed up for a mortgage. Well, no wonder you feel like shit. You've just signed a death pledge, and your heart is screaming out, "You're doing it wrong, and you didn't come here to do all this." And your head's like, "Shut up. I know what I'm doing. I've been to university." And, you just, my dad says that I have to go and get a mortgage if, but look at your dad. Is he happy? Is he out of his tree in the woods, pissed out of his head because he's stressed out of his mind, doesn't know how he's going to be able to feed his children? And you look at that and say, right, children, off you go to school so you can learn how to do it like me. You need to go to that indoctrination station so that you can replace me on the slavery wheel, because I'm an incapacitated, mindless git, and I never bothered to show due diligence. So you're going to inherit my debt, my indebted mind, because I didn't want to inconvenience myself in front of my friends, make myself look stupid, and sever the contract with the Crown Corporation, because that's all I ever needed to do. So instead, I'm going to send you, in fact, I'm not even going to send you, I'm going to kick off now about not being able to send you to the indoctrination station, where you had to gas yourself, as well, but you had to go and breathe in your own carbon dioxide in order for you to have your mind fried. And I could go to work and make these slave tokens so I could pay these liabilities that turned out weren't even mine. And I'm going to set that as a precedent so that you can rinse and repeat for my grandchildren, and there's grandchildren's grandchildren's grandchildren. And so when you sever that contract, you are restoring the rights of your whole ancestral line of, imagine yourself like as a fibre optic cabling now, and everything that came before you and everything that's going to come after you it depends on you and your decisions right now. And it's such a wonderful place to, it's like standing at the precipice of creation. And with all of these amazing people that you've now got, I've been loving, I just saw one of the Facebook things about people putting up the areas that they're in and making these connections together. And like-minded people, that's all. That's all. The 18 families of like-minded people sat around a table and plotted this hierarchy system and you know, fraud. And so it only takes 18 like-minded people to sit around a table somewhere and manifest into being the exact alternative to what it is that we've all practiced. We all know how not to do something now, don't we? So we can thank them for that. We can say thank you very much to the incapacitated part of our legal fiction mind. Thanks for showing me what not to do. And now, as long as I don't do any of that, I'm good. Now, some people are putting some things in here. I know it's tough going some days, but it's like we've been walking in circles now. We're here together, holding each other up around this narrow path. Right where we need to be. Breathe that good energy and let's do this. Yeah, it's you know, you're not depleted in any way. Like I said at the beginning, you've depleted the fraud. And yes, I mean, I've felt it myself right up until right up until yesterday, this morning, to be honest, at this level where I am now with this amazing remedy. And I realised that I was allowing all of these liabilities, you know, everybody's liabilities, you pick them up, you have to keep them as the fiction that they are. And because people have obviously absorbed the whole situation and all of the victim state, that's what you're actually inheriting when you discharge, when you take, say, I'm going to assign that debt. I'm going to hold the liability of that debt, and it's exhausting. But there is the way that I've been dealing with it is what I just shared with you there, which is the gamma, and I put myself in that gamma state, and the universe holds the liability, and there is no liability now. It was just an empty portal. It was an offering. It was a projection. It was a hypothesis. If I create a piece of paper, is there anybody stupid out there enough to pick it up and pay me for the presumption that I write on it? There's millions of you. And I laugh here at the police when, you know, when we first started teaching them. If I opened a company tomorrow and I said, right, I'm going to go around all of the people's houses and I'm going to put a box, I'm going to intercept their electricity and I'm going to put a box on there and I'm going to count the how many kilowatts of energy goes into your house. And then I'm going to come with a piece of paper and say, right, because I counted it, if you were supposed to pay it, it would work out, you would owe this electricity company, my electricity company, this amount of slave tokens. But you haven't got a contract with me. You haven't assigned your share of that electricity to me. I haven't asked you if it's okay if I come and put a meter on your wall, on your supply. And I'm using presumption and undisclosed conditions in terms and definitions. And now, if you don't pay me, I'm going to come and flick a switch inside my box and I'm going to interrupt your supply. What would you think about me if I did that? And they said, well, we would arrest you. I said, exactly. So come on then. Let's go across the road and arrest those people who are doing exactly that in that building over there. Oh, you need a piece of paper from the court. Oh, I've got one. Are you coming? No, you'll have to wait an hour. Okay, I'll go and do it myself now. And that's how it all ended up with this big ruckus about a bank card. Because not the police guys, you know, they've got electricity bills as well, but the people behind them, they've got the stocks and shares and their vested interest in having you all as slaves. paying for something that doesn't belong to them, presuming that it does by you. You're making a presumption that it does, and paying them. You're the one that's keeping them going. Ask them, well, where did you get my share of the planet's electricity from? You don't want to answer that question. In fact, I don't need you to answer that question. You haven't got my share of the planet's electricity. So how you can possibly be counting it, I don't know. Not at either end can you count it. But you have got no authority to act. Why? Because I have granted and assigned my share of the electricity, the universal law. And if we decide that we want a cooperation to ensure that that electricity is kept and maintained at people's properties, we'll go one step further. We'll make sure that that electricity isn't coming from damaging our planet. We'll go to the source. How do we create electricity without damaging the planet? Well, you've got it all around you in your 5G transmitters and your Wi-Fi. What do you think Wi-Fi is? It's electricity. That's why I remember when we had them first put in the houses and you couldn't get the Wi-Fi to your room at the front of the house, for example. What did you used to do? You used to go and buy the amplifiers, remember? Like an adapter. You stick it in your mains. Why? Because the bloody Wi-Fi is coming through the electricity. It's electricity. My wires are live in the house with it. And they say, there's a great guy called Bodgan Magic who's on my Facebook wall. Amazing guy. Given us loads and loads of free energy creation devices that he's invented. One of them that sticks in my head is like this copper dome thing with a point on the top of it. It goes to your house. And they said, oh, you can't have that. You can't have one of them up there. It's a lightning conductor. It's using ambient energy and it's bringing it into the house. It's wired. Well, my house is wired anyway. Here, we don't even have earths when plug sockets. It's just live. If you don't pull out, I think more people have died from being electrocuted here than I ever will of coronavirus. I can guarantee that, for sure. But so ambient energy, being, you are this. They didn't call you utility transmitting account for nothing. You are transmitting and receiving energy. They copied what it is that how you work, how your mechanisms work, and replicate it in a phone, telephone, telemachus. Go and have a look who telemachus is in the history of the Greeks. So, okay, think of yourself as a transmitter. What am I transmitting? Well, you were just transmitting in gamma frequency. If you, what can I expect to manifest itself based on the energy that I am resonating to right now? Ask yourself that. And if we hear this, oh, it's this, or it's this, or it's this, okay, have we got any proof that it's this or this? Or am I just using somebody else's definition to define my feelings with? So I think it'd be great if people started to write their own glossary. And I was going to say share it with us. Don't. Keep it to yourself. And then nobody can ever turn around and say, well, on this day you said this meant that. And now I'm going to hold it to you. I don't need to be reminded of what it is that I said on such and such a day, if I'm always sincere about what it is that I say. And I definitely don't need somebody to come along and say, well, you defined yourself as that thing on that day, and you told us this on this day, and so today you must mean the same thing that you meant before. What if there is something that I now know that I didn't know before I said those things? Am I always going to be forever... am I always going to be guilty of all of those things that I did in my indoctrinated mindset? Am I always going to then carry on berating myself and incriminating myself? And so am I just going to go, do you know what? I did this stuff And it only mattered because I had to compound it into matter to get to the point where I realized that it was me that created the matter. And so I don't want to go and get dragged into your matter, your creation of your matter, and the fact that you don't want to be responsible for it because all you've got is these definitions that somebody else gave you and you can't make your own up. So you want me to define mine to you. If my definition, if I had to give you one definition, that is it. That legal fiction is fraud. That's it. Everything else after that, that's for us to define together, you know. No, I've got some lovely comments there. Tina, you've got a crown symbol on your water meter. Have you really? Take a picture of that. That's false claim. Unless they're just claiming the plastic, because I'm sure they wouldn't be stupid enough to try to claim the water. Now, has anybody got any questions? What about any feedback from the gamma? I've got some nice feedback there. Here we go. Found yourself with the right clothes yesterday and want to take a rest, and I felt that I have the universe back in me now. This is a very good point, actually, that Mr. Van Indy has popped up there with. If at any time you're feeling down or you're feeling like it's too much for you to take on, just say to yourself, by the power vested within me, through universal law, I shall not commit fraud upon my soul, or I trust the universe has got my back in this. Draw a line down a piece of paper and write universe on one side of the column and what you're going to do. And put in one column what you want the universe to manifest for you. And so this is getting back to lucid dreaming. By you starting to practice this, give yourself little tests. I mean, you're testing yourself all the time. If you realize that, then you can also adjust your where you are in the lesson, if you like, by the things that you're seeing around you. So let's say that all of your worst fears, you've sat there, you've done all of the things that you said you were going to do, taking your number plates off, and now you've manifested yourself a situation where you can practice, are you really a minister of Ben? And it looks like all hell is let loose, you know, you're being accused of all sorts of things, you're stripped naked, you're humiliated, or that's what you would allow yourself to. They want you to feel like that. And, you know, instead, I've got to take my clothes off, I'm going to do a strip. And they're absolutely horrified to see you doing especially the women who are there too. You know, you're supposed to be subdued, you're supposed to be you know, ashamed of your naked self, you're supposed to be, look at you, you're only here because you are a criminal, so take off all your clothes and let us see if you've got anything else hiding in there. Bloody great. Been dying to get my clothes off for ages. Thank you. And I haven't had an audience for quite some time. And give it the big one. You know, when I had a little rendezvous, let's say, at the Manchester place. Oh, it was Leeds. It took me from Manchester, put me in the dog van, took me to Leeds to try to, you know, inconvenience me. And so we went there, and the very lovely custody sergeant now, from African origin, and he just said, right, what we're going to call you, if you're not going to give us your ID. He said, you've said that although you used that passport when you came through there, that now you're not that thing. And I said, no, I only had the right abusive thing to pass through the courts with, and now I'm a pumpkin, you can't see me. And he said, oh, just out of politeness, what are we going to call you? And I just burst into song and said, You can call me Betty, and Betty, when you call me, you can call me out. Call me out. I said to him. Just looked at me like he was going to smack me in the face. And the guy standing beside me, obviously, he's completely agog because this is his next in command. And said, he said, what, call you out? I said, call me whatever you want, just call me, like that to him. And what you're doing is you are diffusing the situation. So your mind has stacked up this very fearful situation for you to be talking to a couple of guys who were wearing magic uniforms who think that they've got some right somewhere to abduct you and incarcerate you. Okay, so you're speaking to the psychotic. Now, and the complete, what's the word, deluded state of your mind that is here now, going to process you. So he just looked at me and he said, right, well, you have to take all of your gold off. And so I looked at him. I mean, it's not computing for me that now you're going to steal my stuff. So it's really what you're saying to me. So I said, well, I can't get these off because I've just got off a plane and all my fingers have swollen up. So they're not coming off anyway. And he said, give me your hand. So this is contract, by the way. This is before I knew all what I knew now. So he's got my hand and he said, bring the, what's the little saws called? The jack saw. Like a little, it's some kind of saw, he said. And I said, and immediately, the first thing that I thought it meant was going to chop my fingers off, right? Because hacksaw, that's it. Bring the hacksaw. And I went, going to chop my fingers off for my rings. And he looked at me and said, do you really think that we would chop off your fingers for your rings? I said, so what do you want the hacksaw for? I said, so we can cut your rings off your fingers. I said, do it, and that's not as bad. That you know, either one of those two things is okay. So he just kind of threw the pen in the air and went, oh, leave. And so I said, right. They said, we're going to take you now to fingerprint you. Oh, ready, are you ready? And so they brought this big woman to escort me to be, raped of my rights now, stripped of your clothes, and to be processed for something that nobody's even established or got any evidence of any claim yet at this point. But we're going to go through the process before we even questioned you, or even looked at the evidence that you've already been served with, as to whether we've got any jurisdiction to do this, any standing. So I said to this woman, a very tall woman, I said, look, we're on camera and I've got to make it look like I'm under duress. I said, because if I come with you in a nice, sweet way, I don't want to punch your lights out. I don't particularly want you to punch me, but it's got to look like I'm not consenting to it. So I'm going to put my arm up my back, and if you can just shove my arm a little bit, I'm going to look at the camera and shout, stop, I'm under duress, you're raping me of my rights, right? I said, are you okay with that? And she said, are you for real? I said, well, actually, no, I'm not, but hey, this is how, are you okay? You get that, it's not that it's just a big show, right? So she's now laughing, right? And I'm laughing with her. I said, come on, you can treat me rough like this to her laughing. And then, so the last, obviously, image they've got is me going through these doors with laughing, shouting, and under duress into this room. Now they're going to take your photograph. So they put you in there to take your photograph. What do? Do you look up for the camera, guys, or do you look down with your head down so the only thing they can take a picture of is your little bald patch on the top of your head or your crown?
Look down. So
you look down and you keep your head down and they're screaming, look up for the camera, look up for the camera. And you just got your head down and I do not consent, whatever it is that comes into, whatever mantra you have at the time. And I'm just saying, I do not consent. My name is under non-disclosure, I do not consent. And a pair of blue gloved hands came flying through this curtain bit like a little booth and grabbed my head, right? So my mugshot up there at Leeds is a head with one pair of blue rubber gloves across my face. That's what they got. And they're screaming. He's absolutely flipped out, this guy. He's completely lost the plot. And he's screaming, I can't do this. No, you can't do this. Why won't you? Why won't you? Why won't I perform? Is that what you want me to perform? I'm not going to perform for you. I'm not going to make your job easy when your job is criminal. So then now it's time for the electronic fingerprints. Just stood in front of that electronic fingerprint machine, and I just thought to myself, it's not going to work. And it didn't. And they had to pull the machine out and looking at the back of it. They're looking at the plug of what the hell is going on. By that time, these two guys have got their little questions together. And I was called out of the room. Because you create it. They couldn't do a damn thing. Oh, the bit that I'd missed out about with the chief, the sergeant, custody sergeant, he'd said to me, I said, when he'd said about the hacksaw, I said, look at you. I said, you know, your ancestors must be so proud of you. Here you are, working for the biggest slavery system that enslaved your ancestors, and obviously, and now you're supporting the people that did that to you and your family. Well, he went mad. That was at the point when he called the other woman in then. And he came round outside of the desk, round the counter, and thought, oh, here we go. He just got right in my face. And he said, you've got no right to say those things. And I said, you've got no right to do these things. And that, you know, it doesn't matter. If the whole pantomime is your mind playing this out for you to test your own stupidity. Have I reached that pinnacle point yet of being able to realize to myself, whatever comes next is based on how I respond right now. And obviously there's nothing that they could do because I haven't done anything. I'm unalienable. And that's what this gets you, whatever unalienable means to you. So lien is a charge. Unalienable, I can't be alienated from my rights. Split it all up. For me, it means that I am unchargeable because I don't allow I don't have anything that you can lay a charge on. I haven't got anything. Now, Anne's put, is gamma white magic? Honestly, I don't know. All I know is when I do those things, I feel great. And is it you who was on the beach with me in Athens? And we did some down there at the harbour. Is that Spiny Mouse, Anne? Oh, she's gone. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know.
No, I haven't gone, but the lady I'm sitting with was making something with a noisy machine, and I didn't want to interrupt you, so I muted it. Sorry, you were saying?
Was it you who asked that question?
Yeah.
Did we do some on the harbour in Athens in Glyfada?
Loads of it.
Yeah. I don't know what it's white magic. I think that's why they're using 5G now. If you look at the Fibonacci sequence, look at the dimensions, 1D and 1 plus itself 2 to the 3, 3 plus itself is a 5. So if we've been operating in 1, 2 and 3 dimensions and we've got that, you know, we can say we know about that. No, we've got some definitions for that. Then the next natural transition is 5, isn't it? The 5th dimension, 5th layer, 5th gamma frequency, and I think that's why this particular frequency that they've picked to have us transmit communications on is detrimental to your well-being. Only if you haven't taken charge of your endocannabinoid system And this is a very fundamental part of your operating the system, as if you're going to look like your body like an engine. And if one of these parts of that collective, if you think of the universe now as like a body, and the heart cell's under attack, it believes it's something that it's not, because of the mind cells and brain cells forcing its belief on the heart cell and suppressing the heart cell as a collective from being, then, you know, using that frequency of bringing your heart and your mind into alignment, using that gamma technique, you're immediately, your heart's communicating with your mind again, and so it's not suffering from that separation and loss. It's back as one thing. It's not the heart cell or the mind cell, it's one being in complete harmony with itself, without even, it's just a bunch of cells, it's just a bunch of vibrating pixels, it's a 5D hologram. Put the 3D and the 2D together and you've got 5. So this thing where they've got people arguing about flat earth and round earth and all of this lot, take it up a scale. If 3D and 2D is put together, I'm at 5D already. Put 5D with the 3D, I'm at 8. Put that together, I'm at 12. And so when we talk about the 12 gods here, that we talked about when you were over here, these gods we talk about are the frequencies of yourself. And then the 13th one is you observing your 12 parts, or your 12 frequencies in Fibonacci sequence in this particular production, if you like. Universal Pictures presents Universal Law Energy, defined by man-made definitions. Bloody great. I want my money back. So I take those 5 seconds so you can't pay me. So
well, can I just say that makes perfect sense, because the scientist that has devised the best balancer for the 5G frequencies that I've come across, he said, as in his explanation, that if we could say in prayer with a high frequency prayer all the time, the 5G and the harm from all the cell phones and everything wouldn't hurt us. It's because we can't, that we can't stay in that prayer all the time, or at least most of us can't, because we've got other things to do and we're not used to it, that we need these balancers as a temporary measure until we just get our heads and our hearts, just as you say, together. So what you just said makes absolute sense. Thank you.
And that's what it does there, that gamma, you're communicating. So your communication chakra, if you want to call it that, energy point junction, is vibrating to a different frequency. So your heart is communicating with your brain, and your brain's communicating with your heart. So you can start to speak from your heart. And so your mind's taken a back seat. You know, how many times has our mind stopped us from doing something, or how many times has the hypothesis of the mind created these agents of the mind to come to tell us, stay where you are, little ego. You know, your ego's right, your mind's right. It's right. Look, I told you so. I've manifested a policeman like that. I told you. Yeah, you did. So you spoke it into being, so don't be surprised that it's standing there. So countering, what I found is you cannot counter. It's very difficult if there's 2 of you and one of you gets this and the other one doesn't, because what you're actually doing is you're manifesting 2, and that is so you can't. One definition of exhaustion, of depleting your energy levels. Do that. Try and manifest for others. You can't. And that's why, in one way, we've all been taught the word selfish. Self and self-exploration and all of this kind of stuff. But we didn't even have these words until late 60s, early 70s, and used in this way. Because we've been taught that self, to consider yourself. Oh, Oliver Twist again. Where is he? Consider yourself an orphan, you know. Consider yourself first. What is it that I have not been considering? Well, I've not been considering that if I use a legal fiction, I have been accepting a contract that I didn't know I was saying yes to. Consider that for a moment. And when you start to consider that, then suddenly you can go, right, okay, if me actually not considering the importance of doing that and then doing it, I can see now that my consideration is needed in this matter. If I've considered it and I consider it to have no value, then I've accepted those undisclosed terms and conditions and I'm back in slavery again. If I stand there and I say, right, I've considered that I am committing fraud upon my soul, but I haven't considered another way of creating in a different frequency to that, then, and I'm going to go back and commit fraud upon my soul, it's even worse than when you did it without knowing you were doing it. So that takes us back to the point where people were saying, when I said at the beginning, about is it all right if I use the legal fiction? If you want convenience at passport control, then you are going to pick up your legal fiction and you're going to use it. If you want to prove that you have these rights to stand on and you are upholding universal law no matter what you may project on yourself as being inconvenience, the convenience that you find when you come through the other end of that has got no definition to it. It's got no parameters, it's got no circumference, no radius. It's just it's completely, it's across the board. It's universal. And that's the consideration that you've got to give to yourself to say, okay, I'm considering this situation in such a depth that I know that I am created it every single second of it. And so there must be something here in this. If it's going well, then, you know, I've got this covered. If it never starts at all, even better, because you've not initiated any potential situation that you think that you might need to work through. So if you haven't had to experience that, then it's because you've got through that stage. You're into the next level. What will I do in this situation? Well, let me create a situation and let's see. Will I, if I'm faced with 15 police officers or 40 police officers, what will I do? Well, I'd do the same thing as if they weren't there. Because they don't matter. Everybody's saying about, oh, you know, they put us on this lockdown again. They haven't. You have put yourself on that lockdown. You can all go and open your shops and businesses tomorrow, and we'll put a little sticker in the window. You can put your rocks on the counter, and you can see for yourself that it was always you who was determining this reality. And you just have got something else to determine it with now, that's all. So did you enjoy the gamma? Did you do your tappings, people? There's write down Chris Walton's name. Chris Walton. He really is. He's really great. I can't remember the name of this guy. I think he's called Warren, not Warren, in South Africa. And I was quite surprised to find that this technique is already there. But the transitions that it brings you in your life is huge. You know, I manifested a happiness and well-being centre. I didn't have any money at all, and I sort of ended up with some from an insurance payout for one of my facelifting machine things that I was using for going around and giving people facelifts with this machine and body lifts to get some slave tokens together, you know. So I could pay all these things. I thought I had to pay too. And it broke down, and it turned out it was insured for exactly the same amount of money that I'd written in this book, where I put this line down the page and put universe and what I was going to do. And what I'd written next to it, what I was going to do was paint rocks. And I even put the date down when I wanted to open this happiness centre. And I'd even drawn the logo. And exactly on that date, I put the book away, and it was about 4 weeks later, and we opened the Happiness and Wellbeing Centre. And we were doing the gamma for the children, and people coming and doing therapies, and so all you have to do is project this. So this is what I'm saying. Don't want it to be just my projection. That people coming and saying, right, what do we do next? That all you've got really from me is surety to do whatever it is, using the right abuse of what we've all got together. Right, that's it. And if I can help anybody, it's not for me to tell you, right, okay, you need this and this and this and this and this and this, and here is the people there and there and there and there. We have got that, but it takes you to decide, what is it that I want to do? I've got this amount of energy, for example, and I want to put it in here. Put a project together, create a Facebook group, earmark an asset that you're going to restore the rights to, and talk about it. We want to see here, this is a collective, Universal Law Community Trust Group collective. These are the people inside it. This is what we're doing. Who wants to get involved? We've got to this stage now. Give the people a report about what it is that you've achieved so far. What is it that's stopping you from achieving the next step? What do you need from your community? And that's where the exchanges come in. So I'm just going to look now for this particular number for the accounts credit account that I'm absolutely amazed with. I mean, I had to send this guy a message today and yesterday, and it was this morning, about how amazing this product actually is. So, I mean, all of these things that you'll find on this website are all used by us, but I'd had good reports from people who've used this product, but I haven't actually used this for about 6 years. And that's what I've known this guy who makes this for 6 years. And we've just been, putting people in contact with him who have got serious cancer illnesses. And I'm just looking through here now. It does take there is so many put on, as well as what's already there. And with your 5 hours, if you can make it a bit easier, so that we've got your account number, put your account number on there if you've already got one, or if you're doing your first assignment, your first complete assignment is what you're giving. I'm going to give my 5 hours if you, the trust, will stand surety to these accounts. It's not here's my accounts and I'll talk to you about the 5 hours, maybe baby. You'll just get an email back saying, can you please send us your 5 hours? So if you want to get this assignment of consent done quickly, do a complete assignment that includes the postcode for the year, so that we can put what area your 5 hours are covering. We'll have to come back to you with a question for that. And put on there what it is that you love to do. Put on there what it is that you're doing at the moment. And how far it is that you're going to go Oh dear, it's gone off the page with the comments because it's too quick. Wow, there's so many of you on here now already. That's loading. Now, this, what I want to also talk about is doing these exchanges with people. You've put your 5 hours up on the website, you've gone to Kindness Credits, you've clicked the add your 5 hours button. That opens up then into, takes you to another page. And that box there is like an order form. It's giving us an instruction of what it is that you want to do. So let's say I've looked through there and I want to convert, I want to exchange my 5 hours with somebody else. So I'm adding my 5 hours first and I'm putting in the account number of the person that I want to. I don't even have an account number at the moment. I'm new. I want to add my 5 hours, putting my 5 hours in there. I could even put my account numbers in that box as well and say, in exchange for these accounts, I'm giving this offer. So I tick the box offer. I want to exchange. Oh, that's funny. We've got covert credits instead of convert credits. And so you decide what it is that you, am I offering something? Yes, I'm offering something. Put my 5 hours in there. And I want to make an exchange with the guy who's got cannabis oil. Find his number there. And I put that in the box. And then I press send. And what happens there is you actually then you complete a claim form. So you'll get a summary first. Is this what you mean? We want to make sure that we comprehend what it is that you are telling us you want to do, so that we don't get it wrong. If it is what we've comprehended, then you get a Kindness Credit claim form filled out so that you can see what it looks like in slave tokens and what it looks like in Kindness Credits. This is to help you with your transition of your mind to see that one piece of the paper that are 20% less valuable immediately than the other piece of paper, because with that piece of paper there's no tax, so you keep everything. And then you fill out your own Kindness Credit on the bottom, and you're actually discharging your own liabilities. Look at this guy here. I'll tell you what I'll do. There's that many on here now, it's going to take me just for this. I do want you to, here we are. You want number 1960, 1314. Just make sure it's not there. Did you get that, everyone? You've got t-shirts on there, you've got organic food outlets, you've got osteopathy, you've got website designing, CRM management, printing, gardening, meter changes, gas and electricity, life coaching, mentoring, fencing, car maintenance, servicing property, natural remedies, tinctures, salves, Kindness Credits, cleaning, COVID clean services. They come and sort out with your business so that you actually have a COVID clean sticker on the window and a certificate. Canna infused cakes, colloidal silver, infused soap, Canna infused wine, full spectrum cannabis oil, 1960, 1314. Then you've got oregano oil, honey, olive oil, the ebooks, balsam oil, calendula, tobacco, vinegar, healing herbs, balsam oils, asset management, webinars, training, tax exemption structures, veg boxes, camping, organic food boxes, accommodation, olive oil, 5 hours growing services, distribution, landscaping, groundworking, gardening, building projects, Saturday sauna sessions. We've got distributions and that one. De-energizing the crown mind. Now this guy here, this is Minister Bob. Now Minister Bob came on just a few meetings that we had in the summer months, and he took so many notes, kept stopping me saying, just repeat that, and you know, news. I saw him, you know, with the videos on, and there's just papers everywhere, I've been making notes. He then went away and created the roadmap so that he could explain it to his lovely wife, because, you know, he needed her on board. And they've gone on, they've just done so much amazing stuff by teaching other people how to do it. He's integrated this information into mentoring programs that he actually does, that he was doing anyway. And helping other people in his community so that they're, you know, they're discharging all their liabilities. He's acting really under his own jurisdiction as an ambassador of his own state. He hardly ever comes to me at all, might send me a few text messages, and he's done it. He's discharged his own credit file, charges on the credit file, and put the credit rating back up to 999. Because I know that first of all, they're not in a financial situation where they would need to hawk or broker open their credit file again. And I have got complete trust in that particular individual, and I can see what it's going on with the energy that's being invested back into that community, and it's amazing. So anybody who feels like you've got to a certain point with this, where you're like some of the comments that you put on there, you know, like it's too difficult, or at the bottom of the tank. He's actually taken this now as the roadmap that he did, and he's starting to take you through these practicing of removing the paralysis from the fear, enabling the standing within you, to remove all of the obstacles that you may have been programmed with, which stops you getting this. So, and he's called, it's de-energize the crown mind. It's completely, if anything is going to be depleted, let your belief in that crown mind, crown money, crown system, sovereign, all of that, let it go. And he's 5 hours to give you 30 to 40 minute online sessions with him, called him the Minister of Energy, because he really is awesome. So that number there is 1960 1375. And then we've got veg boxes in Blackpool, part of the scheme there, Herefordshire and Essex borders. These are people for changing your meters, gas engineer, electric and gas services, Bedford, 1960 1468. I mean, he really is, he's our Minister of Revolution, who's going around and around and around, evolving your meters into free energy meters. Then you've got, this is very interesting, this is sadhana consultations, cooking, how you work in harmony with the food that you're going to consume, nutrition, lifestyle consultancy, pipe fitters, welders, optimal teas, building services in Bournemouth, horse riding lessons, domestic garden, domestic cleaning, doing COVID cleaning there, Stockton teas. I can't understand why you're all shut down when you've got all of these amazing cleaners with the COVID cleaning apparatus to come, and we've got the presumption that you need that definition of clean. Rife machines, therapies, and there's Sussex personal training. There's some more to add to that. The 2020 1027 is actually a very interesting event who's got a lot of energy to invest in. If you've got, it's like, let's call them not the non-Dragon's Den, right? So it's got Minister of Events Den there. You go to him with a project, something that you want to see in your local community. If you want to start to network these people together, if you know people who are sick or that could do with some of this amazing healing that he's got access to with these life machines, then this is, you could be the equivalent of the Ministry of Health involved with this. Because, you know, this is what we're talking about when people are, we're doing what the government should have been doing but haven't. And we're not talking about governing your mind, because you don't need to do that. We're just talking about organising those people. That's all it is, organising. Those people who like to do this, there you go. These are the people who need the thing that you like to do. That's it. And putting those two parts together, the people who've got the ability to be able to heal or help others in that situation, and those people who are coming for the healing in that situation, allow for the healing in the rest of us by being part of this as well. They can then come, they've got their fibre, they've got all their energy back, they've cleared the dis-at-ease within their physicalities and their energetic beings. Etheric layer as well. And with these life machines, it's absolutely incredible. Talking about resonance. You've got People's Protection Patrol and Security in West Yorkshire. These people are actually looking for the people who want to be trained as People's Protection Patrol. Lots of experience in all different, from martial arts, feng shui, to arrest, restrain and arrest, to arbitration, in a way it doesn't need to get to that. And this is anybody who feels that, you know, I'm in that position where I feel confident enough about standing surety to the people in my community who haven't got access to this information because A, they don't want to, or B, they don't know about it. And I'm going to stand surety to them as a People's Protection Patrol. And that's where you would put your 5 hours. So if you put up there, right, I'm offering, what am I offering? I'm offering 5 hours to create a project, and put your project up there. What's your project? Oh, I found this, look at this link, this piece of land here, and I have got this as a proposal to do that. I need 5 people for this, 10 people for that. I need 2 bands. I need somebody who's got this experience. I need somebody who can fix the roof, whatever. Going and restoring buildings that are dilapidated is all very well, but there are some rather advanced hospitals that have been built and created from the back of your national insurance account and your laundering of your share of the planet's resources, such as Nightingale funds, and they should be restored. They've got all of the equipment in there that you and your birth certificate and your fathers and forefathers have paid into that system through and allowed to have that hypothesis create those from their virtual reality into 3D. And they're yours. They're all secured. NHS is part of the HM governments through the licensing structure and the registrations. And that's it. Is, you know, what are they, what right, not right have you got, what right as a private corporation you've got to be trespassing on your asset? Who is the executor of the decision? Who's making the chief executive orders? These people, you know, Donald Trump is the president, it's not as the chief executive, United States of America, PLC. Have you got a contract with them? No. What are they doing in your buildings then? If I come now and I occupy a building and I haven't got the right of use of it, I'm a squatter, aren't I? So these people are now squatting and they need serving with eviction notices because they have not got a right of use of your share of that resource or commodity or whatever you want to call it. And you are the actual collateral itself has already been used as a debt equity swap to discharge that debt that they owe you. So you've got joinery, building, groundwork, Camel's credit selection boxes, Wigan, gas engineering in Suffolk, cheese in Manchester, in Clitheroe, 1944, 1960, 1944 there. We've got teaching in Poole for the Universal Law Reset Programme. He's also a chef, 1657. Market research in Northampton, going out and doing promotion. We've got healthcare coordinators and healthcare training for Kickstart Programme, Organic Vegan Kitchen, Bake Free of the Matrix Mentoring, Liz, 2018, 1118. That's your number there, Liz. 2020, 1118. And it's on the Finance Credits website. Let me find. And your exemplification is 1190.
Okay, let me.
Okay, just all of the other ones, just scrap them. That's what you're in the grand roll as. Now, and then look at the top on the left-hand corner of the page. You've got Kindness Credit Claim Form, and you click that. And this is you, right? This is you laying a claim against a trust now. So this opens up as a PDF. I won't do it while I'm on this. Do you want me to share the screen, or are you following this on your own laptops or phones?
I'd like you to share it.
Okay, so I'm actually in the editor part, but we're in preview. So to click that box there, see that Kindness Credit Claim Form. This is the Meandras, or it's supposed to be. This is our logo for our People's Protection Patrol. And then when you open that up, this is like, it's a claim form against your trust, which is what we're saying. So when you go to the bank, normally what you're doing is you're going to the Ministry of Finance to notify them that you need to exercise your right to shelter. And so because they've wrapped it up in a commercial system, you have to create the slave tokens in order for you to convey the right of use from one legal fiction to another. This way, what you're doing is you're laying your claim against yourself. Nobody else, because you're quite in this presumption that you're making a claim against anybody other than yourself. You know that the only thing that you can do is claim against yourself, but you don't need a third party interloper. What are they doing? Now you can see why it takes so long just to do one account. Anyway, she says, go on there. Won't work. Right there, can you see that? One keeps wanting to pop up. So you've got your Kindness Credit Claim there.
Yeah.
You put in your beneficiary name. It doesn't really matter what you put in there because we know you as Emoven. And the address that you want any product sending to, your email address, and the delivery address if it's, you know, you're ordering something for somebody else. And then there on the right is your exchange account. So what you do is you've looked on there and you're putting in there first your own account number. Your account number is exchanging one way or another with the account numbers that you've chosen with the people who are providing the service or product that you want. You put that in there. And then you work out, so here you've got kindness credits conversion. Even if I haven't got a kindness credit account, I can still convert slave tokens into kindness credits by putting my email address here, Proton of course, otherwise I'm not going to even entertain it, and your name, and you're going to convert the amount. I've looked on that account, I've looked on the website, and it's organic honey I want. I need this account number, so I'm just putting the account number. It's just like a reference number, like when you go and buy anything on a website, slave website, you put in the product reference number, wouldn't you? So in place of the product reference number, the quantifier, unquantifiable, quantifiable commodity, the product, the creator of that service or product that you want, that number goes in there, and you work out how much it is. So if people are actually still exchanging slave tokens and have converted their businesses into kindness credits, they're working on a 8-to-1 ratio. So you know that if I want to convert one kindness credit, I'm going to put 1 in that box in under amounts there. I want to convert my electricity and putting that in there. How much is my electricity bill? Then you can even put the account number. Look, you can use this for all of your transactions, exchanges, discharges, and you've got the amount. You can even put the amount. My electricity bill is 100 quid, and there's the account number. My gas is this. What have I done now? I've done my whole financial logic. I can sit there and work out now, when I get to the bottom, all of these things here is divided by my 5 hours. It's going to cover me. I can put all of those things in there. It comes to 1,000 quid. I can even put organic food in, olive oil, chocolate, anything that we haven't got on there, add it. Put proposal. You do not have fluffy slippers, and I make fluffy slippers out of bits of plastic. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's something that first of all, that we are going to want to recommend to people. Of course, you could put your 5 hours on there. Please add me. This is my email address. Put it in the box there, and to devil what the box is meant in Vatican definitions. This is what we were saying about if you send off your document in black. We're defining this now. Okay, so then we've got the promissory note. Talking money now. Right, we're here. This is a holding account, right? And this account we've used for many years to put the slave tokens in. And then what we do is we go, and I did this with some people in a lovely shop in Samos. And lovely people in there were making their organic creams and shampoos. And I saw the sign in the middle of the night, organic. I was like, organic shop, wow. Can't find it. Found these people in there making these amazing creams and stuff. And I said to them, after 2 hours, I'd convinced them to give me 800 slave tokens worth of products, and that I would come back in 28 days and show them how these rocks had turned into their local currency, tax-free. And the woman who makes these creams, the story is, she told me afterwards, she said, I went home and she said, I thought, I've just done the most stupidest thing in my life, or the very best thing. And it turned out that, so I'd sent the products to people over in England, and they converted it into tax-free exchanges. So they'd converted their energy into slave tokens because they were already in there. And then we converted them into kindness credits, and then we converted the kindness credits into euros, And I went back to pay them, but I couldn't find their house, right? So I promised them that I'd be there for 28 on the 28th day. On the 29th and 30th day, I'm still driving around this bloody island looking for them, and on the phone and losing the signal, and I'm thinking, oh my God, they're going to lose their trust in me. Anyway, we got hold of them and we said, look, we're just going to stay here near where your shop is, and you can't find your house, please come so that we can get this sorted out. And it was a really windy, wintry night. And I remember sitting by the sea with these rocks waiting for him. And there were the rocks on the table, and as he approached the table, you could see from his face, he's thinking, I'm meeting them out here in the dark night now. You know, they're 2 days late, and they were asking me to meet them in the dark corner of this harbour. And but you know, I'm still got my trust. I'm still here, and he's walking towards me. Saw the rocks on the table, and you just saw it, all of his belief fall apart. And you could, this whole body language, it started to, you know, it stood to this kind of, I'm ready to be offended now, or, you know, defend my rights. And so I just smiled sweetly at him, and because I don't speak Greek very much, and it was his wife who had understood what I'd said. And she wasn't there. He's come, her husband, and fortunately the guy I'm with is Greek. So he explains what's going on, and he kept looking at the rocks, and he just suddenly said, is she going to pay me with them rocks in Greek? And so Yorba started laughing, and he said, well, yes, first. So I've pushed these rocks across the table, and he's already ready to get up to say, you know, I'm not accepting this. And I said, just wait. Let me just show you how it works. So you don't know what to do with these rocks, do you? So I'm giving you these, and you're giving them back to me. And now you want this, which is the pile of money, an envelope. So I'm going to exchange those rocks into your local currency and give you a receipt, but I'm giving you a receipt for the products. So the products were, I took the products on trust, and I gave a promissory note like this to the value of that amount, 100 kindness credits, 800 quid. And then there was the tax-free 800 slave tokens with rocks, and he had to give me back the note. So, and as he gave me the note and I pushed the envelope over, he suddenly got it, and he was like, jumped up and he went, this is brilliant, this is brilliant. And they were both very happy. So what you're doing here is you're laying a claim and you're discharging it at the same time. Look what it looks like now. It looks like you're sending yourself a bill, doesn't it? But your bill, the bill that you're sending, is my electricity, that's how much it is, that's how much this is, that's how much this is, that's how much my name as it would accumulate in debt if it paid it, how much it would accumulate if I bought oil, etc. How much it would accumulate if I was going to pay for something that's already mine. So what happens here is this part here is where you put in the slave tokens into this account, and then you get a reply back with a statement of account saying that you have just received, I don't know, 50 kindness credits. So you've put in there £800 and you've got 100 kindness credits, but that's tax free. And so what people have been doing is they've been saying, right, well, here's my 10% of my electricity that I'm not going to use. I want to buy somebody a veg box with it. Here's 10% of my council tax. I want to invest in some uniforms for the People's Protection Patrol. Here's 10% of my gas. I want to invest in some t-shirts. I want to invest in some seeds. I want to invest in some honey from my new little hub that I've just created as an organic food outlet. Here, I want to put, and then you've got a few people who say, right, okay, well, we've put in 10% or 1% of what it is that we've saved, and we're going to go to somebody who doesn't know anything about kindness credits, and we're going to say, look, we're going to give you the kindness just like I did there with that guy. We're going to give you the slave tokens to show you how it works. You want 1,000 quid rent for that shop. Here you go. We're not going to explain anything else to you other than that's what you want, right? £1,000. Okay, there you go. It's tax-free. Contracts in the Universal Law Community Trust or Minister of Events, so no liabilities at this place. And we're going to show you how you can keep, first of all, that £1,000, and then we're going to take you through the process where you're going to realise that you never needed the £1,000. You needed the things that you thought the £1,000 was going to bring you. And so what we're actually doing here is keeping our energy inside our community instead of it being parasited on by another system. Then what you can do, let's say you put 800, let's say you've put 800 quid in your pot, and you've got then 100 100 kindness credits to issue into your community. So you can print off 100 of those there, and you can write one kindness credit on each one. It's the same as a £10 note. There's no tax and no debt being created with it. And it says at the bottom, all rights reserved, non-assumpt tie, non-negotiable. And our little logo. And it also explains how you put that into the community. So you would, instead of giving somebody a £10 note, you give them one of those and say, right, go on the website and see what you want to buy. When you want to exchange my energy, I've just exchanged with you with that piece of paper. This is a clean energy exchange here. Cleaned your energy and you put that in. And that means that that energy that was in that pot, in the IBAN number, is still there. It hasn't gone anywhere. And you can do multiple exchanges with just one note. And until, like we talked about on the last Zoom, somebody comes along and turns it back into slave tokens, and it's gone. We're not making tens of hours. Yeah, of course. I'm going to have to stop sharing. Sorry, I'm losing the sound.
So I just went to send some slave tokens to that IBAN account, but I entered it as it's a UK account, right? And it's not recognizing the name. It just comes back and says, the name you entered doesn't match the account details. Try again.
Right.
So I entered it as RG Swain.
Yeah.
It's not letting me say no to that.
Have you got it? It's 13.
It says, try using the person's official full name. Because it asked me, is it a company? And I said, I didn't click that.
Have you put that? Have you put it's R and then G?
Yeah.
Have you taken the G out?
I'll just try that now.
You don't have to use the IBAN if you're in if you're using a GB account.
It's working without the G.
Right. Okay. Let's take that out. If you're using so IBAN is obviously international banking account reference number, and an IBAN number is made up of the sort code and the account number. The country where it is, GB there. 42 is the banking code for Lloyd's, and Lloyd's there, and that's what that is, that account there. And then what you get is a receipt in your inbox saying whatever the equivalent is that you've put in there, you will receive. You have converted into kindness credits, and it's that claim form does everything. Now that claim form is what they've been using behind your back. When you can see the familiarities with the similarities, with the bank gyro slip at the bottom. And they've actually had you endorsing a promissory note like that at the bottom. That's why it's set out like this, to help to teach people that you've already been doing this all your lives. You took that bill and you went in and you used that bank gyro slip to endorse and endorsed it and gave them consent to launder your credit file to 10,000 times the amount that you actually paid them, the 1% admin fee to do so. So the actual bill, you're paying 1% of the total amount that appears in the no greater than and no less than barcoding. Little symbols like 2 arrows in the bottom of your barcode. Go and have a look how many zeros are next to the actual amount that you're paying, because they have to negate, you're creating the debt by paying them with fiat currency for something that needs to show 0 happened here. Under trust law, under trust law, trust cannot make profit. And they're making 10,000 times the amount of what it is that they're actually saying it costs them to maintain your electricity supply or the usage. And we obviously were doing this, and we just crossed that amount out. And when we were doing accepted for value, you crossed out the greater amount and put a circle around the 1%, and that's how much you could take. Discharge that with that, not discharging it, not accepting your fraud for value. But if you want to use the accepted for value, dictate what the value is that you've accepted. I accept that 1%. That's what you're asking me to pay, right? Yeah, you can take that. Now, obviously, we're at the point where we would be claiming against ourselves, which we've always been claiming against ourselves. But now, if you're standing there and you're saying, well, we're secured party creditors, now, as a secured party creditor, I'm going to claim against myself, then, woof. It's much worse than you would do, much worse than when you were doing it as one secured party creditor. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, sometimes you don't need to use the IBAN. That's what I'm saying. If you're using a UK bank account, you just use sort code account number. Now, I hear very good news that the oil is back in distribution. Somebody's picked that up. If anybody wants any extra virgin olive oil, which is the basis of our resource-based economy, if you like, really, it can be used for exchanging for veg boxes or somebody else's products or services or whatever. It comes from Samos Nicaria, that particular batch that you've got there, and it's now in the south of England that it's going to be then spread up. There's only, I'm told, 8 litres left of 18-litre cans, and we're hoping that we're able to send all of this over that we've got ready for you here with the honey and stuff quite soon. We're just sending something through first of all to see how quick it's going to take before we send all of this that we've got that people have ordered in the past few weeks. So normally we would bring it with the van, and obviously at the moment, while people are just feeling their way through this, it doesn't warrant sending the van at the moment. So the more people that start to invest their energy in clean, organic, natural products and pull it away from the pharmaceutical companies, because they own the supermarkets, as you all know, and the GMO, and pulling it away from the taxation system, that's really where you're going to make it matter. You're going to make their system not matter because you aren't giving them any credit. So it's great that you're all here and using this. Did everybody find that easy enough to use? Does everybody know how to fill out a claim form now? And then you don't even have to fill it in with your laptop. You print some of these off. Right, I don't, CB, do you want to speak? Because I'd like to hear your voice. I better take you off from mute. I like the bloody Facebook. CB? CB, if you want to participate, can you just take yourself off mute? So you can tell me what it is that you didn't understand about that. No. Okay, well, I'm going to remove you from the call. Because if you're not going to speak to me, then I'm not going to be able to get a vibration or reading of your vibration. This is how it works, guys. You know, we do have people coming because we've been quite, now there's so many of you, it's not a case of we going through this. 180 people the other day joined the Facebook group in one go. I think about 3,500 now. And you know, if you're not going to participate when we're asked, then you know we the level of questions and the responses that I was getting there screamed shill at me, really. So if you're not, then speak, and we can get to hear what it is. You know, just put no. If you don't understand something or comprehend what it is that I just put up there about filling out that claim form, then don't just put no, but tell me what it is you don't understand. And then if I say to you, would you like to take yourself off mute, and we get no thank you, okay, then I reserve my rights to meet you at that point. And now we've got somebody else here. Now these, because it makes it all more complicated, of course, so now you've all got lovely Emoven names, then you've all got a Proton emails, and now you're coming here and you've got new, you're either all Emoven or you've got another angle. Do you remember the CB radius? What's your angle? So you've got these new, these are the definitions that you use. So Justice 969, don't know who you are. Do you want to say hello? No. Is there anybody, I know the people who have done assignments because they have interacted with me before.
Yeah, I've been trying to do some stuff, but keep making mistakes.
Right. Let me know. Okay.
Huh?
What have you made a mistake with?
Because I sent a thing off and then it came back asking me, is that what I wanted to do? And then it wasn't what I wanted to do. And then I think I was just complicating it, trying to put too many things on one of those forms.
And what was it? I mean, I came back with that analysis, if you like, of is this what you're trying to do here? What was it? If you just put down very simply, this is my account number.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do. So
do you have to do a separate form?
No, love, you can put it all on one form. If you look.
Oh, you can? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Cool. Well, I think that's what I did.
And then if you just send a code, when you press send, and just send a follow-up email to just explain that this is what I mean by that, you're defining this then.
Okay. And also, I think I did a balls up because, where is it? So I've had a glass of wine. But no, what I did was I sent some money, but then I don't think I updated the reference.
Okay, that's
going to.
I was going to ask if somebody had sent some across without using the reference. If you think about how PayPal works, and you're going to put a reference on there, aren't you? If you send, I want to send PayPal credit to friends or family, it asks you, would you like to put a reference in? Just my account number goes in there, and the PIN number. If you're going to use this for converting your slave tokens into kindness credits, you're going to make a PIN number that's got 4 digits on it. This is all written on the claim form, how to do it. add that onto the transactions that you do, because it means that the accounting at our end is much easier.
But do you mean, because I've got my kindness credit account number, so this is what I'm trying to get my head around, because usually you're used to just logging into something and you can see what's happening. I've got my...
That you're talking about online banking now, and we did do that, Tina, a few months ago, and all of the data got hijacked, and I've just been informed yesterday by somebody that the Debtless and had also done something similar, where they've got everybody to upload their data and they sold it all to debt recovery agents. Yeah.
Wow.
So I was, went down that avenue and we explored it, and it was exactly what we thought it would be, which is to hijack your information, because people can't get their heads out of slavery completely, and here they are offering you, they're using the solution and capitalizing on it, and then because they can't see their way of using a rock themselves, they suffer that fear of loss. Well, I've put hours into this, so now I'm going to get my money's worth. Take all that data disappeared from people's accounts. Now, this is why I've been saying all along, I said, look, if you want to go down there, and we'll have online accounts. Everybody wants an online account. Here you go. That's what it looks like. Very nice, play around with. Can't even do my first step because I can't work out the online account. So we're spending hours teaching them how to use this hypothetical version of reality, and they spent months working out how to upload the data, and then they go in at a later date and it's not there. Well, doesn't that just prove then that the only people that you can trust is yourself? So you are your online account. You create a ledger book, and that's all you ever need to rebut the presumption that you haven't been accounting for yourself. Is an accounting book. So I have an accountant. But why would you go buy an account? Why would you go and pay for accounting fees if all it meant is I needed to get a book, draw some lines in it, and write some numbers in it, and keep my receipts? Is that it? I had to go to business banking finance school, and
So then the pin thing, though, I haven't set that up. I don't. I was just given a number.
The pin thing is you decide the pin,
right? And then I email you to say that that's my pin.
No, you put it on the transaction that you do, so that only you and me know that that's your transaction. That's the security, that pin number. We know then that pin number is associated with 800 slave tokens worth of kindness credits issued by you.
So I put the pin number on that exchange form, and then you know that that's me.
No, you put it. We'll go back a step. Okay. I'm going to assign my. If you put it on that claim form, anybody could intercept that, couldn't they? But if you put it on the transaction on your online account with your fiat currency bank, I'm sending 100 slave tokens and the PIN number, so that it's my account reference number is my kindness credit account, and my ID PIN that I've created myself, because I'm the creator, I'm the creditor, are these 4 digits, and you're associating that PIN number with that transaction of converting slave tokens into kindness credits. So when you take the claim form, and you get the promissory note at the bottom, and you issue those kindness credits into your community, when somebody exchanges it and accepts it, they can then check, is this PIN number a valid PIN number? I'm about to accept. It's like me running my £10 note under the scanner to see is it legit or not. Is it counterfeit? So
how would they check that though? How would they check that?
You send an email to say,
right, okay.
So it's or a message. I'm accepting this. This is the account number that's on it. I'm just confirming the PIN number, and they'll get yes or no. Yes, yes, it's valid, and there is, and it can be exchanged into slave tokens still, because somebody hasn't emptied the account of that amount. Because imagine if somebody writes 100 kindness credits, writes 80 kindness credits on one note and gives it away, and then somebody turns that into slave tokens, then that slave token, that PIN number will have been associated once with that account, and those funds will have been sent into the appropriate account.
Yeah, I'm lost. I'm still
You
trying to
don't,
figure out.
it's exactly the same. What I'm trying to show you in paper form is how your PayPal account already works, or your Amazon account, or even your bank account. You put in slave tokens, you then pick up your card. Your card then speaks to your account and says, take these amounts of credit and push it into the shop's IBAN number.
Okay.
And so that's what's happening there. So when you write on the promissory note, on the kindness credit note, your kindness credit account to pay IBAN number XYZ of whoever it is that you're giving the kindness credits to instead of money, then they can send a message. I've just received this. Do it between your friends and see how it works. I've just received this. It's got a PIN number on it, 1234. Can you validate that for me? Yeah, can you? Here's my email address. Send a reply to the email address. And then, so their IBAN, the IBAN number that is on that note, gets the credit from the fiat currency account, from the holding account. Have you looked at how to put kindness credits into your community? There's a flow chart that's been done that's in the Facebook group files.
I've not seen a flow chart.
Oh, there's a flow chart. Have a look how to put kindness into my community as a community.
Because I sent like for the ebook, I sent that in, then I sent an email and I got the ebook and that was fine. But I didn't put a pin. I didn't put a pin in for that. I think I put in the reference.
Yeah, you didn't need to put a PIN number in for that because you weren't converting it into kindness credits to put into your community where you were exchanging it for an ebook.
Right. Okay.
This is only if you have a look, read it again, what it says. There's 3 different steps on that claim form. So the 3 different things you can do on the website. 3 different things that you can. The first thing that I need to do on the website is put in my 5 hours if I want to do direct exchange. Or if I haven't got a kindness credit account number, I can convert my slave tokens into kindness credits. One of those 2 buttons is how to get in there. Then what happens?
So I sent in that form I sent back, I put what I could exchange with, and then but then I thought that when you just like, I've put that as a thing if people want to exchange with me, but then is the kindness thing to do with like helping out just people that are not, they might not necessarily be involved in this yet as well, or not?
I mean, you're giving 5 hours to your community no matter what. You're giving 5 hours to the community who are there to support you when you need to cash back your 5 hours. But if you've gone off and put your 5 hours into people who are not involved in this community, you're just funding, you're helping people to carry on supporting the slavery system.
Yeah.
You can't ask them.
But then I'm more willing to like just try something out, and other people, I always kind of jump in just to figure it out. But other people that I've spoken to, they'd rather just sit on the fence and see what happens first, if you know what I mean.
Right, so you've got those people are not in this group. Those people who are sitting on the fence haven't put their 5 hours up. So you've got on there all of those people to choose from. So if you and they're all up for this, that's why they're there. So if you turn around to them now, take for example, I haven't read your email yet, and I'm sorry for that, but I went out today and I manifest myself for coronavirus, so I was a bit busy. Sorry about that. But the idea is that I've attached emails to most of your emails, other people's email addresses, who want to do the things. They want to meet up with you. They want to do the veg boxes. They want to tell you in your area, in your particular area, you've got about 17 people just in the group around the BN and the BS postcode area.
Yeah, I've messaged like 3.
Yeah.
And then only one person's got back and just asking where I was, what area, and that was that at the moment.
Right. So the question that we need to ask is, hello, I am correlating the information for how many veg boxes it is that I need in the community, and that I'm taking responsibility for that. So please can you fill out your claim form with small, medium or large veg box, fill out your claim form for whatever else it is, and then I can lay a claim against the trust for those things to be supplied to you. Yeah, morning. We've got somebody hammering now. 12
Not
o'clock
me.
at night, yeah. Go and put your hammer away. So, so you've got, that's what I would be saying to them. It's not about, hello, I'm over here. This is what, you set your stall out. I am going to be the supplier of organic veg in this area. And say, tell me how much of it you want. So then I can come back to the trust and say, right, I've got 15 people, 20 people in this area who want to have this amount of veg. And we can go then to your local producer or supplier or distributor and say, we've got 20 people there. Let's take it all to Tina's house and everybody can be sent there. And they all go there and they pick up their boxes and they use the kindness credits in the exchange so that they can learn the next level. So that the
one that messaged me said she was doing that and she set up a Facebook already. Right. So I've added to that today, and then.
Okay, so let's go through these steps now then. So you've credited your kindness credit account, and you want to exchange for what? You want a veg box?
I've put on the whole form all of the stuff I would want, like so I'd want that weekly, and then olive oil monthly, all that kind of stuff.
Brilliant.
And then I put about exchanging with Gary. Is it if he would come down to Bristol anyway? I don't know because he's in Bedford. Is it Gary or Bob? I'm not quite sure.
It's Emoven.
Okay, Emoven. There's plenty of Garys and Bobs.
It's account number 2020, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing. This is on, this is how you reserve the rights.
Yeah.
People who are doing it.
Yeah, so I put in there like X amount of kindness credit for that.
And where have you put that? Where have you?
I emailed.
You've emailed me that back now, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's I've and so now we've got quite a few people now that I need to put those hours up who are in your area. So I'm just going to send you their email over. I could do with somebody who could replicate the information that I'm putting on there on the kindness credit site onto a duplicate page, and then we can just integrate it into the laptop, because it takes me hours to just do one because my IP address is blacklisted. Right. So if anybody fancies doing that, let me know.
Yeah, I'm happy to help. Just let me know.
That's great. That's great.
You use an Excel spreadsheet or something?
It's putting it actually into Wix. Yorgos, can you just get me a hammer to hit the people's walls downstairs with? It's Morse code. Hang on. I've got to mute myself just a minute. Here I go.
So just one thing, I didn't do the PIN before I hit the send button on that transaction.
No, I didn't do that either.
Sorry, say that bit again.
I sent that fiat currency over to the account without adding on a 4-digit PIN.
Sorry, Liz, did you want to turn it into kindness credits to put into your community? Or
yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
If you just, okay. So did you not read the claim form? Is it not written on your...
Yeah, but I didn't understand it. So, and I'd sent it before you explained it just there.
Okay. How to remedy? Send 1 pence with the 4-digit PIN code on it, like PayPal would do. We've also got another process which we're just going to bring in, which is going to make this a lot more simple, and we're just testing it to make sure that it's that it works seamlessly, and also that we're not creating more debt through the charges that this direct debit. It's a direct debit process. You know, like if you PayPal set up a direct debit, go straight to your account, and it's just open, and whatever it is that you set, let's say today I want to take 20 quid as a direct debit and send it to my PayPal account. I'll take 20 today and I might take 10 next week or whatever. And we also want to make sure that we can do this so that we want you all to have your own holding account. But the problem is at the moment, the liability holder is the same on your debts, let's call it, as it is on your bank account. So by you still using that bank account behind that legal fiction, you're still leaving yourself open to have that embargoed or have charges placed upon it. And that's why we've got a holding account that's separate from, with a very clean credit rating, because this guy's a wonderful debt slave and he won't do anything about it. So we know that there's absolutely no problems ever in all the years we've used it, because of the emphasis that this particular individual has got on my credit rating. So that's why we know it's a safe place to put that credit, and also it does make it a little bit difficult if we haven't put the account numbers on there. We have to then wait for you to tell us that you've sent the funds across, and then some of us have put the money in and not told us what it is they want to do. So, until you start to practice this, until it becomes as familiar. You remember when you used to go to the bank not so long ago, you'd go and stand in the queue and you'd take a pay-in slip. That's really what we're doing. The pay-in slip is the kindness credit claim form. And so that's accounting for the transaction that you're making. But because we're accounting for it in our own currency, yes, okay, it starts off in fiat, but it ends up in our currency, which is what we've used then at the point of sale. And that's why it's a tax haven. If it's the point where we have to communicate it back, obviously we need the information, as much information that you can put on there to say, this is what I'm doing. I want to convert this amount of money into kindness credits to put into my community. Here's my PIN number. And that's it. So if you want to just send £1, Liz, to that account with the 4-digit PIN number.
I've done it. I've done it, but yeah.
Okay.
So
then at that point, we know what you want to do then. It's self-explanatory. If we have to come back to you and say, is this what you want to do? It's like a confirmation email. We're just confirming that this is what you want to execute inside your estate, this and this and this, fully accountable. That's what we want. If we're going to talk about accounts, there you go. take whatever rock it is that you like, or whatever receipt book that you want. It's all got rocks in it, and that's what keeps us from being able to be considered to be in commerce. Even if the thing that we look at, the thing that we're doing is exchange. If they gave everything another definition: vehicle, commercial, non-commercial. Trust became corporation. You know, the rights became privileges, and so by doing this step by step, and you know, don't expect it to all suddenly make complete sense, because you're doing what you're actually doing is you're doing the job or the action that you were giving away to these people that didn't want you to know these things. That's why they could capitalize on them, because you're unknown, you didn't know this bit, so you had to go to somebody who knows it. Normally you pay me 60 grand a year just to create you a circle on a page and put your trust inside it and create an LLP company for you, because you didn't know how to do it. I'll tell you how to do it instead. Here you go. And for those that like doing it, do it for everybody. For those that, you know, don't particularly like doing it, give that liability of doing it to that person over there for their 5 hours, and go and grow some food. And then when you've grown the food, pay them with a veg box for doing that thing that you didn't like to do. Or, you know, offer to fix his roof if it ever starts leaking, or teach his children while he's busy doing that thing that you don't like doing. That's kind of credit. So, has anybody got any more questions? Oh, somebody's put, I'm new to this, so please point me in the correct direction to get info to start my process. Really? I really asking the question. How have you got here? Justice 969. If you haven't been on the website. Hey there. I think we better do some more tapping, haven't we, for shyness.
Just to double check, with the reference you say put the pin in, but I've never created a pin with you yet, so I just make that up now.
Yeah, yes, Tina, you don't create a pin with me, you create it with yourself.
Right, okay.
And then you stick it on.
And then how do I let you know? How do you know then that's me?
Because it'll be on the transaction that comes into the fiat holding account.
Yeah, but how will you know that number if I don't tell you it?
Because that's very exactly. I can't know something if you don't tell me it. That's beautiful. We should put that. We should put that somewhere.
Psychic.
Absolutely, that is the most succinct explanation of what it is that we're doing here that I've never even come up with. So thanks for that. Copyright that quick before somebody else takes the credit. Right.
But what I'll do is, because I've sent the 400 with the wrong reference, which I think is the ebook reference, because my mobile app doesn't let me update the previous reference. So I'm online, I'll send a penny and I'll put a pin in, and then you'll see that it's the same account details as the other amount that I sent.
But there you go. That's how that works. Yeah. Okay,
cool. And I've sent an email with to do with the other amount.
We were talking about this. I don't know if I spoke about this. It was yesterday. Suddenly yesterday, as I was writing these things, this information in these veg books, and I was putting it. Where else did I put it? And I was writing about it. I was typing it in. So I'd written it down, and then I was typing it into the spreadsheet. And I suddenly got a realization that is why ledger books matter so much, because it's the written word. And I don't know what the writing in the red does, but it does something. And that's why it was apocryphate without writing red, because it might not mean anything to us, but to the system of ecclesiastical Vatican system, it means all contracts are severed because you're alive, you're writing in red, you're demonstrating your comprehension of the fraud that's going on if you don't write in red. That's my definition of it. And so when I was writing, I don't write in anything except red, and I never sign anything. But you need that seal, you need to get that stamp. So as I was writing it down, I suddenly realised that that's why it's so important. That is why they've been keeping rolls and ledgers, and why it is, it does matter if you are intending to create 2 dimensions paper into reality. And so by writing these names in this book, you're in another role. It's another ledger role, and every single name that comes across and says, right, I get it to that degree, and I'm not having, I'm not going to credit that structure anymore to the degree that I understand it too. I'm pulling that bit out. So again, don't get bogged down in getting it wrong. You can't ever get it wrong because it's you that's doing it. And even you can't, can you? It's not wrong. It's the steps that I took to here. I left that bit out. That's all. And now I'm going to find a way to be able to remedy it. So I'd not thought of that until we thought that out between us there, because that has never arisen before. So there we are. We've got an answer to a situation that we've never faced before. So it's the word's wrong. If we can all get over that about what the definition of wrong or right is, and say one of the mantras. There's a video of me actually, and they took the piss out of it. When I did a bit for the People's Voice, I said that about even when you're wrong, you're right, because it was right for you to be wrong right then, which makes everything always all right. And I couldn't say this for laughing at what was going on behind me. I mean, there's all the Guy Fawkes masks, and they were at the Million Mask March, and the police are coming in a big circle around us all, and I've got this loud hailer and doing this piece to camera, and it was just completely surreal. And because I was laughing, they put me on this, I don't know, website where they criticise everybody, and said, oh, she must work for the Rothschilds, look, because she can't even say it without laughing. And instead, I could have just put the last take up with 3 of them, but we didn't, because it's about having a bit of fun. And this thing with the catching of the coronavirus, we're doing it throughout because we haven't got anything better to do, really. We're not running around scared of our own shadows. We're going and living our lives and taking the piss out of the placebo that is propaganda. And so when you look at it and you say, right, okay, I know that this is a projection of the greatest fear. What is the greatest fear? Well, I'm going to die of some virus. Okay, well, even that, let's turn that into a comedy sketch. Because it's not that the emperor's got no clothes, there just isn't any emperor. Like the thing with the spoon. There's no door to find the key for. You just stand there, standing in your prison cell and go, right, well, I've got a prison cell, I've got the keys to it, but it's still a prison cell. Because I've got all the liabilities to it. Our houses haven't even got any key. We have to have doors, but for the soundproofing, you might as well not. They're open. My doors are open. Because nobody is suffering from any loss, so they don't feel like they need to take from anybody else. And whatever it is that we've got, you're welcome to share it. That's it. So, and if you need to take something, it's not because you It's because you needed to have the right of use of it. It's not because you wanted to permanently deprive me of my rights of it. It's just that you need to exercise some of yours that might read somewhere along the line have prevented you from being able to access the same rights, your rights, as I've sat in my level of this projection. So take it if you need it that much. If you need that thing that much, have it. It's just a thing. But use it right, that's all. So I'm dropping off myself here. You must be all snoring, and my family are getting a bit rowdy in the background. So has anybody got any more questions? No, we're all good.
Just a quick one. With regards to, like, if we wanted to do a project working with kids, the way that the DBS system works to give parents peace of mind, how does that work within this system? Because
we come and meet you, right? So I'm a potential parent, and I want, and you said that you've got in 5 hours. I'm going to show some due diligence. What due diligence do we show? We go and we give the children to schools. Well, we don't know, look at the standard of DBS. So here you've got a bunch of paedophiles running a show, and they're going to issue licenses and standard checks and assessments based on their definition of what's okay and safeguarding. So who are they going to employ? Dubious people, as far as I'm concerned. I've got absolutely no value to any checks that any paedophile is put up as a standard. So as a parent, if I'm going to have you look after my child in any environment, I want to know who you are. I'm going to get to know you myself. This isn't about going and dropping your children off with strangers, which is what's happening at the moment with schools and nurseries and things. You don't know what's going on in there.
No.
Because they've got to check.
This is what we thought, because now the kids can't go back to school, and then we've got an empty house, which we usually rent as a guest house. My partner's worked with kids before, so we were just thinking maybe we could just do give the parents a break, show kids how to cook with proper ingredients from scratch.
Awesome. That's awesome. So I just put now. Straight away. I'd already made a leaflet, and I just put those out into the community through people's letterboxes, and COVID clean kitchen cooking, homeschooling.
And then how do you deal with parents? You know, you always got those ones like you start asking for all the official, bullshit.
Well, homeschooling. We can give you a piece of paper. The parents need to give you the piece of paper, don't they? The parents need to check you out. The parents need to come and say, okay, you're proposing to provide this. I want to come and meet you. I want to come. Would you let your children stay at somebody's house that you didn't know? No.
But if it's within the community, then it's all fine, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I just said to Ness, as long as we have like procedures in place where there's like no one, because we went through the fostering system. We were going to foster. We didn't end up doing it in the end just because it felt quite restrictive, and
it wasn't really an emergency, was it?
and but yeah, going through all of them. There's certain things that you can put in place where you're never alone with a child on your own and all that kind of stuff.
For God's sake, right, okay, hang on a minute.
These people,
Look, okay. I'm never going to be alone with a child on my own. That only matters if we have got a community of people who are already projecting that might be a potential threat. A child should never feel a threat to be on their own with any adult at all, and the adult should never feel that there is ever been any consideration that the lines might be crossed into me misinterpreting the fact that I'm on my own with a child. Then it means that the child is consenting in some way to entice me into fiddling around with them or doing damage to them. I mean, we've got to remove, or you haven't got that in your community if the parents take some responsibility. But what we've done as a society is we have eradicated parental responsibility. We've given it to the government to dictate to what it is that looks like, and you are being, that's why it looks like all of the horrific stories that we hear about in these environments of care homes for children, because that's what it's, those standards are set there to remove the liability. It's like, okay, so here we are, we've written a standard that nobody should be in charge of a child on their own. What does that say? It says, first of all,
that humans can't be trusted, isn't it? That's what it's saying, or adults can't be trusted. But
it's saying that you are all guilty until you can prove yourself innocent, and you are not to be trusted. Why? Because they're writing about themselves. They are judging everybody by their own standards, and their standards are shit. Aren't they?
Yeah. Well, just going through the whole fostering thing, it was just like, how do you even build rapport when you've got to think of all this weird stuff? It's just,
I think that you should never have to. If I let's imagine that I come and see you, right, and I'm your friend, and I've come to interview you as potential childcare resource. The point is that parents only need to abandon their children at an indoctrination station if they're going to abandon their souls and go and work for slave tokens in a community that says that you have to be separate from your children while you support yourself.
Yeah.
Why aren't we all there learning how to cook? Why aren't mums and dads coming as well? And we're all one big happy community sitting around for some food every day that we've all grown and picked and harvested and boiled and served up and got to be sitting together and learning from each other.
Yeah.
Plus, they signed away the birth certificate, isn't it?
What, love?
It's like a government thing.
What's that?
But the birth certificate, like they signed away the child to the government.
Yeah, but they don't know that.
Yeah, but it's the trust thing, what you're talking about. That's the trust. You signed away your trust. And so you're in a system where you think, shit, well, I can't even trust myself. So how can I trust anybody else? You're all out to get me. I'm out to get myself, so everybody's out to get me.
We had to point out to our friend the other day, he's got 2 kids. I said, look at the kid's birth certificate. Then I showed it said informant next to where she'd signed. And then she looked really confused.
I mean, there you go. Ask what informant is. I'm the one grassing myself up. I'm informing on myself that I don't know what I'm doing. And here you go. Here's my child. Eat its energy.
Right, well, thanks for your time. And
welcome. Thanks. I think it's a great idea.
I'll keep cracking on anyway.
Yeah, and well done for keep cracking on and not giving up. And I think you're waiting on a quiet title, aren't you?
What does that mean? Again,
can't tell you.
Oh, yeah.
It means
oh yeah. Yes, I am. I've got a lot of paperwork to do. I know that much.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
There's somebody in Glastonbury as well that's come. There's a couple of people there. I'm glad.
Oh really? We go down quite often, actually.
Yeah,
we
I
love
think
going
it'd
down
be a
there.
really great place to have a kindness credit community gathering up on the tour.
Yeah.
That'd be great. So
Okay,
I'm up for helping you.
Yeah, if you could send me how do I get the contact?
I will. I'll just copy you into the emails and I'll just put your area's contact emails. I'll do that tomorrow.
Perfect. Awesome.
Lovely.
All right. Cheers.
Cool.
All right. Good night.
Bye. Good night. Good night. Has anybody got any more questions before I fall asleep?
Sorry, it's Winifred here. I just want to say, just amazing meeting. I'm just still awake on this. I'm literally sending messages out to everyone that I know with all what's happening. Just saying to people, get in on this community.
Right, thanks.
So yeah, I think if I've been sort of listening, but I've been sort of taking calls as well. I'm sort of working, but I love the gamma thing that you did. I'm going to look at the video link as well, because I think we spoke about the work that I do with people with addiction, some of the clients there.
Oh, yeah.
So
you,
yeah,
this really helps. I did this with some people down in the alcohol rehabilitation program in Bournemouth, and the gamma, they were like, no, you can't do this, because we were inside a church community hall, and I thought, what is gamma not part of God then? Do you want to say? So
yeah, but. And thank you again for, I think, just giving the explanation, because I've been on the, I did go on the website with the credit, and I couldn't understand, but I think you've explained it really well. But yeah, I think like everyone else, I've got a lot of just work to just pull out the paperwork and just get get my bills, because I'm not at my property at the moment, so it's just getting the bills so I can actually get a. Do they need to be a current bill, or is it just the account name that I use as opposed to what's outstanding?
It needs to be what? Sorry.
You know, when I send in my utility details, does it have to have the current, what is actually owing, or just the name of the company? Is it just what's the name of the company that I'm, the account details of the utility bill that I'm sending in?
Love it. Just needs to be the account number. If you're on Facebook, I've put the Minister of Emoven put a script up there to say what you do when you've done your assignment. What do you do next? And there's a copy and pasted email in the comments on Facebook posts in the group that explain exactly what you say, what the answers are to the questions. You can either complete that yourself online, or you can pick up the phone and do it, and have some fun at practicing being Minister of Emoven. Hello, I'm Minister of Emoven. Just moved in as the liability holder at this address. Can you please update your records?
Okay. Yeah. I'll yes, if that's the case, then I'll get that done, because I think I've just got so much. I'm just trying to prioritize, things that I've got doing with working from home. But I will definitely pull some of that information out and just get that done. But I'm just saying to people, as I'm listening into the meeting, I'm literally sending posts out to so many people saying, listen, we've got to get on this. I'm just saying we can't wait around.
Yeah, it's a bit past Chronos time, isn't it? It's a bit, if we'd have all done this 5 years ago, it would never have got to this stage, but it had to get to this stage for us to get to this stage where we are now to start to do it. So in one way, it's exactly as it should be, which was that was one of my massive limiting beliefs, actually. Everything is as it should be. I couldn't accept that. And until I did, I didn't have any peace, is all I can say. Are you, when you say West East Midlands, are you near Nottingham?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So Tina's in Bristol. Sorry, that's quite a trek from you, isn't it?
Where's that? Sorry.
Bristol.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Birmingham, and then down towards, I think it's about 2.5, probably 2.5, 3 hours. But I've had some invites. I've had some invites to go up sort of north to Sheffield, and I've made someone that I've in the community that knew me from when she was in Nottingham.
Ah, yes, I heard about that.
Yes. She said, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. That everybody, we're like those 4 steps away. There's connections. It's 7 or something. We're connected to 7 people. It's like no, it's 2 people away. So it's good that there's so many like-minded people that it's taking on like this. And Tina's just offered you guest house if you want to stay a few days. Look, there you are.
Where was Tina? Was she? Oh, sorry, Tina's here, isn't it? Sorry, Tina.
Yeah, speak on your Zooms. Speak on your Proton about organising it, so that I can go to bed.
Yeah, bless you. I know. Thank you so much. Honestly, it's been amazing. I can't believe you've done literally how many hours? Literally 4 hours. Yeah,
but it's fun. It doesn't feel like that until your medication kicks in, and it's like, ooh, it's time to go to sleep now.
Yeah.
Don't forget about that account number that I told you about. It's amazing. Everybody needs it. Anybody who's suffering with any kind of symptoms of this placebo effect, get your endocannabinoid system going, and the rest just falls into place. Is all I can say.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's just been amazing. Absolutely. Well, I'm buzzing with so much energy. I'm just sending out text messages to people saying, listen, get on this. You know, we need to. And I've got someone challenging me with you know, where he's at, and I'm thinking, I really don't need to know. If you want to do what you want to do, he's doing all this studying with the black laws and all these different things. And I says, well, you know, you get on with that, but you know, you get people who are sort of challenging, you know, where they're at. But no, I just want to thank you so much. I'm just in awe of just listening and actually doing the work, just being proactive.
I think it's fantastic that you've all that the universe answered the please send me all the people who are going to make this happen, and here you all are, and it's absolutely awesome. So I'm waiting for you. It's great that you're all here. So
I think, I'm not sure, I think I'll get myself onto the Facebook. If I've not, I don't know if I've followed, but I'll do that now.
Okay, and if you're not on Facebook and you just want to go on there, just make it. It doesn't. Even if you pop up, and I mean, I was looking and saying, right, well, I've only had an account for 3 weeks, but you know, some of the most aware people were aware of Facebook to the degree that they just didn't want an account with it. So I realised that people are making these accounts specifically for coming into the onto the Facebook group. So I haven't got a problem with that if your account's just been created. If you want to create one specifically for just coming in and seeing those files and things to get you in a position where you feel a bit more confident about involved, then do it. Joanna, have you got a question, Joanna? Acquisitions. Oh. Did you, Joanna, did you want to ask a question?
No, what I did was I left my mute off whilst somebody sent me something, so I'm sorry about that.
Oh, it's okay. I didn't want to cut the call.
I do have lots of questions, but it's a bit late now, isn't it?
Okay.
And,
well, we start on what day are we on now? It's Thursday. We'll start with the questions that people have got from this meeting, with the Thursday meeting. Then give it some time to go in.
Yes, good idea. Yes, thank you.
Right, okay, and I'll say good night to all then, Kali Nikta. Thank you very much for all.
Kali Nikta.
Kali Nikta.
Right.